Hello, listeners. Welcome to the Pod Fruit, One Piece Through New Eyes. On today's episode, we'll be discussing Volume 19, titled Rebellion. Volume 19 covers chapters 167 through 176. I'm the host, Michael, and with me, as always, we have our One Piece rookies, V and Dylan.
Sorry, I'm mid-laughter because Dylan did something stupid. Hi!
Hello. Don't say hi.
I did.
It didn't come through on Discord. A quick reminder to join us on Twitter, Instagram, and Discord for all our latest announcements, information, and fun. Come join our discussions. On Twitter, we are at PodFruit. Instagram, it is PodFruit, and our Discord is linked in the description. We would also love it if you gave us a follow and a review. Let us know what you like or what you don't. We love feedback. So, are you guys ready to get into it?
Yeah, boy!
All right, well, let's begin. My summary today was written by me. As Baroque Works executes their plan to take over Alabasta, the tension between the Royalists and Rebels hits a fever pitch. Elsewhere in Alabasta, Luffy and the crew arrive at Rain Base, ready to confront Crocodile. The group, plus Smoker, but minus Sanji, Chopper, and Vivi, are captured and held in a Sea Prism Stone jail, which has the effect of negating Devil Fruit powers. While Crocodile introduces himself and his intentions to the captured group, Sanji and Chopper formulate a plan to help their friends. Alone, Vivi is saved from Baroque Works' henchmen by Royal Guardsman Pell and his Tweet fruit power. Miss All Sunday catches up to Vivi and Pell and handedly defeats Pell with her Fleur fruit, capturing Vivi and bringing her back to Rain Base. Sanji and Chopper's ingenious plan pays off as they break into the base to help their friends. Aided by Mr. Three's Wax fruit, Sanji opens the cage and the crew escapes. As they flee, Crocodile attempts to grab Vivi, but Luffy intervenes. And that is our summary of Volume 19. Volume 19 will be spearheaded by our boy Dylan here. Tell him what you got.
Okay, yeah, so we get the cover picture of chapter 167, titled Battlefront, but it's, I ran in the courtrooms with Boogieing. And apparently the text on Full Body's fan says objection. Fun stuff. But
Welcome to Funky Court?
yeah, I guess. But Vivi's kind of laying out. It's like, all right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to assault Crocodile directly. And I like how Chopper's like, is there water there? And the Vivi's like, yeah, it's a gambling town, so there won't be many rebels. And of course, Nami's like, ooh, gambling. Which is weird. I wouldn't really think Nami would be big on gambling.
I don't know.
Because she seems...
I had the opposite impression, actually. I think I actually commented on it in my notes, which we will get to, but I was like, it's like high risk, high reward, and I feel like Nami kind of is a high risk, high reward kind of gal.
I guess, but just with the way she's been like hoarding money up for so long, I would think she would be like, now gambling's a waste.
It's a way to lose money, not get money.
But it's also a way to get money.
Well, that's heavily skewed against your favor.
It is.
And then we get introduced to a new Luffy move, Gum Gum No Way. Which is,
I guess you could call it
Which is kind of funny because Usopp's trying to get the water. He's like, no. And Nami calls him out. It's like, oh, so apparently you're the voice of restraint now? And it's like, when have I not been? That's like, never, not once.
I'm thinking the gears are turning. And
then, of course, Zolo's like, all right, we have to hurry. We're killing time and we don't have time to kill. And everybody's like, yeah, north's this way, dude. Where are you going? Seems like the interaction, bottom of page 4, it seems like Sanji and Zola are getting a bit of respect for Chopper.
You know who else could use to give Chopper some respect?
You know who's not going to give Chopper any fucking respect? Me! But they mention, it's like, hey, you're doing better. It's like, yeah, I'm hanging in there being tough. And even Sanji's like, yeah, let me smirk and smoke a cigarette in the middle of a desert, which, I don't know, middle of a desert, I think the last thing I'd want to do is, smoke.
I could just imagine how dry everything gets, like, including the inside of your mouth, and then adding cigarette smoke to it just sounds like actual torture.
Oh, he's probably got a nicotine addiction. I don't know if he has a choice here.
I mean, I guess.
Perfect circumstances to go cold turkey, I guess. Or hot turkey, because you're in the middle of...
Hot turkey?
You're in the middle of a desert.
Go roast turkey on him?
And I kind of like the interaction Vivi and Luffy have on 5.
Yeah.
Where she's like, oh, I owe you so much. It's like, all right, fine. When I kick his butt, feed me till I explode. And she's like, you got it, boss.
Hope you like psychedelic cactus.
Yeah, got plenty of that.
I mean,
You're going to think you're exploding.
And then we have the leader of the rebels turning the kid away and kind of showing, like, turning away, like, hey, all right, you're not afraid to die? I was like, all right, hey, show him. And then, like, dude is missing, like, half his shoulder and an arm, like, a hand. And he was like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. And then he kind of explains to him, it's like, see, you're not like us. We are afraid. None of us wants to fight. And it's like, well, why do you have to do it? It's because it's the will of the people, so we have to. It's like, okay, you seem to be kind of level-headed.
It's grounded.
Yeah. And then even some of his, like, second-in-command people were like, man, it's not like you to go off on a kid like that. And he's like, yeah, it's like, reminds me of myself as a boy. And makes me mad at that level of naivety and stupidity I had. So, interesting. And apparently the only thing they're waiting on is getting more weapons. They're undersupplied. Jumps back to Oberana, and it's more showing of how, the king of Alabasta is actually a decent king. The thing is, like, hey, the rebels keep striking us and stuff, we need to strike back. And it's like, no, like, striking back would be a strike at our citizens, and we can't. As the rulers of this kingdom, we can't do that. That's wrong. And then we actually get to meet, so my theory from last time was like, oh, Pell and Chaka, that's a little suspicious. Why are they out here when they shouldn't be? Those were kind of thrown away a little bit.
Your suspicions?
Yeah, a little bit. I still have some, because,
I'm still hella on the fence about them, too.
Well, Pell I don't really have as much, suspicion of anymore. I kind of trust Pell. But Karoo comes back and kind of, like, the note gives away all the information. And there's also the part on, 15, where it's like, oh, you're hurt. Let me check your bandage, see what's wrong. And Karoo's like, nah, fuck you, don't touch it. That was fun.
My friends put that deal.
Yeah, I have friends. If you touch this, that means I don't have friends. But then he's kind of like, all right, we're going to go attack Crocodile, because there's no point in fighting the rebels. Rebels are citizens. Let's deal with the root of the problem.
The Luffy approach.
Yeah, and he puts his foot down and it's like, all right, we're going to send everybody. Where is it? Was it in this chapter? I can't find it. There's something that I think Chaka says that threw me off. Here it is. 18. Middle set of panels, the leftmost one. He's thinking to himself, we underestimated the king. He's far from beaten.
Yeah.
With the shiver, that's like, okay.
Yeah. And
I think you're a little fucky.
Yeah.
And you did say your dispersions, is that the correct word, against Pell were relieved, but you're still not sure about Chaka?
Just because
that kind of feeds that.
Just from what we see from Pell later, because Pell actively, is getting involved on VV's side, whereas, like, Chaka, you don't really see him doing anything. Yeah. Besides arguing with the king.
Yeah, and I guess just kind of looking ahead on that subject, since we're talking about it, it's like, yeah, like, Pell's actions later on do make me want to think maybe he's one of the good guys, but it's like I see him and Chaka as being like a duo, and the actions of one kind of are tainting the actions of the other. So it's like, as a duo, I have a lot of trouble trusting them because of that, and because of what we saw in the previous volume also about how they interfered. But I'll get into it a bit later.
As of yet, they're always together, so you can't really think of one without the other.
My theory on it is that, all right, Chaka might be crooked, but he's the acting commander of the Royal Guard, and Pell's a loyal soldier, so he's going to follow the orders he's given. So it's like he's more of an unknowing accomplice, is my theory. But then we kind of see it's like you get every faction's planned attack that they're going to do. It's like the rebels are going to come for the capital. The Royal Army is going to go to Rain Base, and Luffy's group is going to go to Rain Base from
Yuba.
Yeah, Yuba. There we go. And which, honestly, if they showed up at the same time, well, one's a group of people, the other guy's an army.
Yeah, one moves a little quicker.
And the way the chapter ends with, in 17 hours, Baroque Works Operation Utopia goes into action. I like that tagline for the ending.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
there's one more instance of that I really like that we'll see in a little
I think
bit.
it's like the next chapter opens up in 1 hour. Yeah, it's like they're there, but they only have 1 hour.
Yeah, it gives the like countdown vibes.
But yeah, this opening chapter more seems like, all right, we know what Luffy's group's doing. This is how they're going to go about it. All right, now we get to see the other factions react to information they've been given, and now what are they going to do? Because the rebels are like, all right, the government holds all the armories. We don't have enough weapons, but once we do, we'll take the capital. And the army finds out, oh, Crocodile's behind it. Let's just leave this up. Who cares if they take the palace? We won't kill anybody if we're not here. Let's go after Rain Base. But yeah, that's all I got.
It's me. So I appreciated the fact that the chapter basically starts on another map of the region. And I feel like I have to keep in mind that we are kind of reading that back to back but there would have been some time in between releases. And I like the fact that we see a map because it helps us reframe the setting. It brings us back to where we left off in the previous volume. And that makes it so that we know exactly where we're going. Like, okay, we've had a break. This is where we're at. This is what's happening. So the inclusion of maps has been super helpful in general, but I feel especially in the context of Baroque works and Alabasta and all of that, because it is pretty complex and we're talking about, at this point, basically a political conflict, it is very helpful to have these maps around. I had a bit of a chuckle at seeing Nami with dollar signs in her eyes, or rather berry signs, because they're B's rather than S's, at the mention of gambling. We know what's on her mind. Like I said, when Dylan was talking about it, I feel like she would be the gambling type. Like I said, high risk, high reward. I feel like she would know when to stop herself. Like she wouldn't go to a point where I feel like she wouldn't let herself lose that much. I think she would be level-headed enough to ground herself if she is noticing that she's losing a lot. I don't know that she would go all the way to losing everything that she got. Yeah, Luffy at page 3 saying gum gum no way. My notes on that were, is that a new speech pattern for him? Because I don't think that this has come up before about him saying gum gum something when it isn't like an actual attack. And I don't know that I would call his gum gum no way an actual attack.
Well, he is using
I guess that's
he's
true.
actively using his powers during it, though, because he is
true.
stretching his arms away from him.
But it's giving Pikachu just saying Pika Pika all the time vibes a little bit. Yeah, and I'm not sure what purpose it serves other than just being quirky, because I don't think that he needs to say gum gum something in order to activate his powers, right?
He certainly does not.
So, yeah, anyway, I thought that was kind of funny. So I love the interaction between Nami and Luffy at the bottom of page 3 when she says, "So now you're the voice of restraint, Luffy?" And he replies, "What do you mean by that? Aren't I always?" No, Luffy, actually, you're not. You're not.
You're the voice of excess.
Right.
And waste.
I don't know that any of them are the voice of restraint. The only one...
They have their moments. Vivi is the only one truly.
Right. But, like...
What about Nami?
Nami doesn't have... Oh, are you seeing her wanting to gamble? That's not very restrained of her.
She's gonna make them money. She's not gonna lose.
And, like, even Zoro, who I consider to be a pretty level-headed character, he has his moments of excess. Like, when he drinks. Like, you know, I think Dylan nailed it by saying Vivi seems to be the one that, of the current group, that seems to have the most restraint. And I thought that was funny.
Sanji's vices are at least unique. Like, you can't just...
What do you mean,
blow
women?
Through women.
I mean...
Yes. he's restraintful when it comes to, like, food and water and stuff.
Right, but he's ran through.
But put him in a room full.
He's ran through.
Yeah.
He is a whore.
Fair.
And that's okay. That's okay, but he is ran through. That's all I'll say. Yeah, bottom of page 4, when Zoro tells Chopper that he's doing better today, I thought it was cute to have him recognize the improvement of Chopper and to kind of praise him and encourage him as, like, the newest official member of the Straw Hats. And yet, another big smile moment at page 5 when Luffy says he wants to eat until he explodes when they're done with all of this. And Vivi's like, I got you. I thought that was very wholesome. And it made me think, I can't wait to see that feast scene. With the hopes that it happens, because we have seen them party. We've seen them celebrate after a victory. And I'm looking forward to getting there again. Like, I like those scenes. They feel homey. They feel slice of lifey. It's nice to see them in their, like, natural, relaxed element. And I'm looking forward to seeing that again. And then, yeah, so we jump back to Koza at the rebel camp. And I gotta say, I do have appreciation for his honesty as he speaks to the kid. He makes it very clear at the middle of page 8 when he states that actually they are afraid and they don't want to be doing this. And I think that that's actually very, very introspective and is something that more leaders can use to do, is admit that they don't want to be doing this, but they're rebelling because they have to, because they have no other choice. And that transparency, I think, is something to be admired as far as I'm concerned. Then we hone in on the king's palace, where the king is refusing to attack, going against the advice of his royal guards, Pal the falcon and Chaka the jackal. As we pointed out, we did meet them last volume, and both Dylan and I at the time had pointed out that the way they were talking to the king was fishy, and as I stated when Dylan was speaking on it, I still stand by this. I still feel like it's sus. I don't know to what extent, but me no likey. I will say, I like Pel's look. Like, his face makeup is giving me 2000s emo boy vibes, and I love it. I'm all like, this guy listens to My Chemical Romance.
I'm not okay.
He absolutely listens to My Chemical Romance, okay?
Shaka kind of got like the new metal thing going. He's probably listening to like Disturbed or maybe a little Linkin Park on the side.
But yeah, they're kind of dripping. Karoo is as adorable as ever. Especially in the middle of page 15 when he reminisces about the team fist bump. I just thought that was so cute when he just quacks and he lifts his little paw, and I'm like, oh, my boy. That's my boy. He's so cute. I love Karoo.
I think he may actually be smacking Chaka's hand.
Yeah, because he's swatting it away.
A flap.
Yeah, he's swatting it away. Because he's thinking about the team fist bump. He's like, no, those are my homies. You get your filthy hands away from me. And then, yeah, as Dylan pointed out, mid-page 18, we get somewhat of a confirmation of my suspicions and Dylan's suspicion when Chaka thinks we underestimated the king. He's far from beaten right before the king orders them to send soldiers to Rain Base. And then, as was pointed out again, I really loved page 19. I appreciate when time is taken to provide further explanation or clarification on things that might be a little bit technical. And in this case, it's just, this is where each faction is going. This is where they're expected to meet. We're also getting an idea of the timing and how it kind of puts in perspective how crucial the timing is and how there's actually very little time to be wasting on either end. And as we find out throughout this volume, time is very precious and they're all running out of it. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I had for 167. I thought it was a great introduction chapter to this new volume, and without getting too much into it, this volume is, to me, a treat, and I'm looking forward to getting into it some more.
All right. So I also want to just go ahead and agree with you while it's fresh in my mind that I really like the map at the beginning and end. On my second read through, I felt like it was not as necessary, but for a new reader, it really, because we're moving here. This is the most movement we've had in a arc yet, by far, I think. Yeah. Pretty much our locations have been very centric. The Zoro and Chopper thing, Zoro giving him props, I thought was very cute. I even wrote, hey, Chopper's getting tougher, and I think Dylan said something along those lines. It very much kind of calls back to, remember when Zoro was pulling Chopper? He's like, don't you get big. You remember we made a special note of that. It's interesting crew dynamic. Everyone has a different dynamic with everyone else, and that's, we're starting to see how they view Chopper. The rebel scene. I thought this was an excellent scene to show, the desperation of the people of Alabasta. Desperation and stuff like that can be turned into military power or lots of different powers, but here, they're clearly building a fighting force off of it. But it was a very real, very grounded take on this side of the conflict, the rebels. They are not here because they want to fight. They are here because they have to fight. Right. I thought that was just very real, and I enjoyed it. I also really like Pel's design. Always have, always will. I'm going to agree with V. Very My Chemical Romance coded. Chaka does not inspire much strong thought either way. He's not bad. He looks like someone who lives in a desert nation. And then, Karoo made it. Or as Dylan sometimes says, Kahoo. Kahoo did it. It's so nice to see him completing his task, and he seems to be very proud of himself and proud of the friendships he's made. Love it. And then, we have an intense political military dilemma that is, I think, being navigated reasonably well for what it is. I mean, we're not reading Game of Thrones. We're not, watching World War II documentary here.
I'm going to bang my brother and then kill a bunch of babies.
Exactly. We're not looking for that kind of intensity and realism. The moments of realism, like the rebel camp meeting and such, does lend itself well to, the story here, but I think ultimately I'm happy with the way that the conflict is being developed. And it's interesting having such a delicate political military situation in a manga that thus far, has been just as silly as it has been action-packed. So
that's just like, you bringing that up just gave me an intrusive thought. Karu's essentially R2-D2 to Vivi's Leia. Where, like, she's like, hey, here's the scoop. Now go get it to the people. The people need to get it.
You've heard that R2-D2 is the main character of Star Wars, right? You've heard that. I don't know if it's a theory, but, it's very much a prevailing theme through all of them. And, yeah, I really like the summary ending. You start off with a map, but this one kind of hammers it home as to how things are intending to play out, what to expect. And, yeah, just overall, I thought the stakes were very clear. The rebel scene was a high point.
Hopefully medium rare.
What? What was medium rare?
The stakes.
Hopefully the stakes.
Yeah, nice, clean, medium rare. Yes.
I understand. The thing is, I thought of the joke, and then I thought, no, it's too stupid. I'm not going to say it. But then Dylan just took it and ran with it.
That's what he's here for. He says the things we're too scared to say. I thought it was very good. A good chapter, very much like you said, V, an introduction chapter. I felt introduction vibes pretty much throughout. But yeah, that's all I had, and V will be 168.
Yeah. So, chapter 168, Rain Base, the City of Dreams. I really enjoyed the wide shot of Rain Base in the middle of the desert at page 2. I thought it just so sells it. It sells how much of like a quote-unquote oasis this is in the middle of the desert. Like, and it also gives a feeling of how excessive as it is, similar to like if you were to picture Las Vegas, which is this huge, gigantic, excessive, like sinful city in the middle of nowhere. And that's exactly what's being portrayed there, I find. And that's where, it says the sun sets, the sun rises. In 1 hour, Baroque Works will launch Operation Utopia. And then you get the big wide shot. And I was like, oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Here, like, doom, doom.
Yeah, delicious. I love that Zoro shut Sanji up at page 4 when he just says, move it, Prince, after Sanji has another one of his simp moments. Because Sanji's being like, hey, don't give Nami that dangerous weapon. Nami and Vivi don't have to fight. I'll protect them. Like, shut up. First of all, let her have a weapon so she can defend herself if need be. Also, Vivi and Nami aren't defenseless, and I dislike that it's implied in the way that he says that. I know he doesn't say it explicitly, but still, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like, they don't need you, Sanji. They don't. I'm sorry. And...
Well, hold on.
No, but it's the way that he said it. I didn't like it, and then Zoro's like, just move it. Stop.
The whole idea is like, the women won't fight because they don't need to, because I, as a man, will do the fighting.
I will provide and I will protect.
Yeah, but... That's so archaic.
No, I agree
so
with you.
We're personifying what he said, and like, that's why
I know.
And then you get a double down on the Zoro love here, you know? It's like, he gets it.
Yeah, he does.
These queens can defend themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And then Vivi sort of demonstrate that at the bottom of page 5 when she's being assertive and she agrees with Luffy that they need to tackle this head on and that they don't have time to make plans. Like, she's there, she's tuned in, she's making decisions. She doesn't need to be coddled, is what I'm saying. But I
think she's shown time and time again that she is very self-sufficient.
And to be fully clear and just looking ahead, this volume has amazing Sanji moments coming up. And I know I shit on Sanji a little bit with regards to his simpness, but...
He makes it so easy.
But when he's there and when he shines so bright. I just want more of that. I just want a little more. Well, there's being goofy and there's being whatever this is. It's not goofy. It's annoying.
It's not funny. Yeah.
Well, it's like not necessarily like goofy is the wrong term for it, but he's not being like I take it as he's not being serious. He's being overly mushy and kind of like, oh my god, I love women so much. But it's like when push comes to shove, it's like, all right, no fuck.
Right.
I'm not fucking around. We're gonna stop all this joking around I do, and I'm gonna kick somebody's ass.
Right. It's just I understand what you're saying, but it gets grating.
Yeah, oh, very much so. Like, I've been struggling hard. Yeah. It's like, damn, Sanji was a character I really enjoyed at first.
Right. But he doesn't have any bad intentions. He doesn't really think that Nami's defenseless. Or Vivi. It's just the way that he expresses his affection for women is like, ugh.
Infantilizing them.
Exactly. That's a great word, Michael. That's a great word. Look at you, Mr. Thesaurus.
No, use it in a sentence.
Sanji is infantilizing them.
That's a cop-out.
And yeah, so we have a really good scene that unfolds over pages 6 through 9, I think, as Luffy and Usopp walk into the bar, and it's not a setup for a joke. Although it is very humorous, okay? Luffy and Usopp walk into the bar where Smoker and Tashigi are already hanging out, and they realize that they're there. At the top of page 8, Zoro points out that those two are magnets for trouble, and that they should be ready to run, and sure enough, a chase scene ensues.
Deja vu.
Yeah, like we've been there before and we will probably be there again. And for some reason, at page 8 again, at the top of page 8, it is so funny to me that Chopper would just plainly say, "I gotta pee."
Yeah.
And just
noted that exact thing.
He just struts away. I was like,
And
I
also,
feel like that would be
in
me.
deer form, still wearing clothes.
That's true.
Why is that deer wearing clothes? That's our friend.
Why is he talking? It's just,
You're on drugs.
I gotta pee. No, it's just so funny.
The zipper's gonna be hard to operate with these hooves.
He'll figure it out.
I gotta pee.
It's something I've heard myself say so often. I gotta pee. But yeah, so that whole scene, very interesting. I'm not going to get into too much detail as to that chase scene because it is a chase scene. Not a whole lot happens that, all of it ends up being talked about a bit later, so I'm not going to linger on it too much. But I smile at page 14 when Vivi says, "I hope Mr. Bushido is all right." And then right underneath, we see Zoro moisturize in his lane with someone's defeated body at his feet. He can handle himself. It's the cut of her saying, "I hope Mr. Bushido is all right," and then you see the middle panel that says "clank" with the swords flying, and then you see Zoro being like, "You call yourselves the Navy? Try again.
Try again."
Although we do see that he loses his cool when Tashigi is around. And that is especially clear at the bottom of page 15 when he tells her to stop looking at him with that face. Yeah. To which she proudly replies, "Don't tell me what to do." I can respect that. Finally, Zoro admits to himself that he can't fight her. And we do not see Zoro losing his cool very often. And I like that.
There's one person who clearly gets to him, though.
Yeah, exactly. And we know a little bit as to why, because of what happened in Logtown. But yes.
Just run away from her down a flight of stairs.
I am still looking forward to finding out why there's such a resemblance, because it can't just be something that Oda decided to drop there for no reason. But we'll see. We shall see.
You say that.
I would be surprised. Listen, how long is this fucking manga? He's gotta get back to it at some point. We're just speculating. And then, yeah, the ending of the chapter is great as the Straw Hats converge on Crocodile's hideout after kicking some ass. Crocodile telling Miss All Sunday to go greet those fools. And the bottom of page 19, his face is immaculately drawn. I love the close-up shots of Crocodile's face. I don't know what it is. There's something deeply unsettling, but also really captivating about the way that Crocodile is drawn. And at
least part of it has to be his eyes. The way his eyes are drawn, they're very hypnotic.
But it's not just the eyes, it's also like the brow and just the shape of his face. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what of it makes me both scared and captivated, and I haven't landed on it yet. But yeah, super creepy. The SBS this time around was actually informative. We get more information on Dory and Brogy with regards to how old they are, and we also get an explanation about the X on Chopper's hat, which is the cross symbol from the hospital, but crooked. I just thought that it was nice to have an SBS that isn't just some random people writing random bullshit.
Blah, 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 blah. And the note is like, nyah, 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 nyah.
That's it.
How stretchy says penis? It's like, what?
Dylan's never going to forget about that one.
I just love the way Oda handled it. It's like, fucking seriously? Shut up.
Yeah.
Next.
But that's what I had for 168. Dylan?
That shot coming in from the desert, great shot. And I also want to touch on the cover as well. Django's Dance Paradise, acquittal by feeling the beat, full body demoted. So, like, it seems like Full Body came in and was like, hey, look, he saved the town. He's done some bad things, but I think he's made up for his crimes. I'm willing to take a punishment to let him go free. Which is cool. Like, it's crazy. And actually, I get to see my boy up here later in one of the cover pictures. We get back to the Colby Chronicles.
Do we?
For a split second. Yeah, you see him in passing. You see Helmeppo and
not in this
Colby.
one, though.
No, not in this one. It's like
make sure to point it out, because I do not remember that at all, and I look forward to seeing that.
Well, it's because, like, I know, like, going forward, it's like, it kind of looks like Django was like, you know what? I want to join the Navy. And it's like doing stuff with the Navy, and then you see Garp, Helmeppo, and Colby walking by.
Huh. I look forward to seeing that.
Yeah. And I'm also very, very interested in the climate baton and seeing that in action. Because this is more... Like, I'm curious, like, it makes me curious. It's like, oh, is he going to be, like, kind of like the weaponsmith for the group now? Is he going to be making cool little gadgets, gizmos for everybody? Or is it just Nami doesn't really have a weapon right now? This is how we do it.
I mean, he's shown a desire to build and maintain and...
Well, because, I mean, that question we got from one of the listeners in the Discord was like, what do you want to see? And then I know, V, I think you said you want to see, like, a tinker or artificer kind of role, like Usopp. Usopp to me seems like he's kind of leaning towards that now.
Right, because, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, what are they missing? And I was thinking something like, you know, a bard or a musician. I was like, I mean, they're missing that, but they don't really need it. And then I was thinking that someone that would have this emphasis on building things and crafting and whatnot could be useful. But hey, if the role can be fulfilled by someone else, and why not?
Yeah, but that's something I'm interested to see in the future. The Prince thing is funny because it gets brought up later. Mm-hmm. Chopper's kind of, you know, he's cutting his teeth. When it's like, they're like, no, we don't have time, we just got to go for it. And it's like, you're not afraid, are you, Usopp? And then Chopper's even like, I'm ready to fight.
Yeah.
So it's all right, Chopper. All right.
Look at him.
Yeah, he's got more heart.
You start crying again, though.
Usopp.
It's over.
The thing, Dylan, is that it's okay to cry.
Even if you're tough.
It's not.
Because you can show up. Not. You can still show up. You can be in tune with your emotions and have big emotions and still show up. Or you can be like Usopp and be a total fucking wimp.
Usopp's beating somebody to death with a hammer. That's all I gotta say.
That's true.
And then I do like when we get back to Rain Base and we see Usopp and Luffy at the bar. And it's funny because it's like, not only are they just clueless of Smoker and Tashigi, Smoker and Tashigi are just like 100% like oblivious of the fact that they're there.
It's so good.
Everyone's got other things going on.
Yeah, everyone's just focused until the moment where the penny drops.
Yeah, because it's like they're looking over, and like the way I take it is like they're making a bunch of noise, they're having a conversation. Smoker's just kind of like, God, these guys are fucking loud. Like, what the? And it's like at the point of getting ready to be like, oh shit, it's the Straw Hats, and they're like, oh shit, and they spit the water in his face. But that was fun. That was the fun little moment. And then Zolo again, knowing what's going on, when they're all like, oh, what? It's just simple errand. Was it a good idea to send them? And it's like they're magnets for trouble, so just be ready to run.
Yeah. And
then like next page, it's like, oh guys, the Navies are here. It's like, yeah, and you let them straight to us. Thanks.
Can you be a narc if it's unintentional?
I guess.
I don't know. I feel like being a narc implies that there's intent to tell on someone.
Fair. Okay.
You could also be clueless. I'm like, man, those drug dealers out there on the corner of 5th and 8th, they're crazy. And it's cops just like standing there like,
writing it down.
The thing is, like, I would be the type of person, because in case you guys don't know, I'm an oversharer. And I'm exactly the type of person that would say just a little bit too much.
And then, like, when they're running away, I think Sanji makes the solid point of, like, man, if we keep running around like this, Baroque Works is gonna know.
They're gonna know.
And then Solo sees him off to the side. It's like, too late. I like seeing this a lot. It's, Luffy, at the bottom of page 11, is taunting Smoker to get his attention. And Smoker, uses, the white vine thing and starts, like, grappling in his smoke form Luffy, but then Luffy hits him with a Gum balloon. It just completely disperses him. It's like, that's cool. And that makes me think, it's like, if you can find a way to generate like a powerful gust, you might be able to really counter Smoker's moves.
Are you that strong if a strong gust of wind is your downfall?
If he's all smoke...
No, yeah. I'm joking.
Which is why I think Ace is like, yo, I can beat you because like when I make these explosions and fire, it causes air to move violently. So it dissipates all your attacks. Cool little thought there. And then Sanji's getting a step up moment, and he notices that as they're running, it's like, all right, well, Smoker's not with them anymore, so these are just Navy grunts. So you guys go ahead, I'll handle these guys. Sucks for them, their captain's not with them.
His phrase, bad luck for you, was good stuff.
It's like a kind of Mandalorian vibes, where it's like, it's 8-1. He's like, I like those odds.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, all right, well, fine. And then, of course, Zello going at it. And they're fighting a little, you can see Zillow's fighting a little restrained. Like, I'm not seeing any blood. I'm just seeing a lot of swords being disarmed. Because I'm wondering if there's ever a point when they're fighting against, like, the cops of this world, and they're at a point where it's like, I can't pull punches anymore. I have to kill you so I can get away. I'm interested to see if they'll ever hit that point, if they're always going to maintain this level of morality. Where it's like, you're just following orders. I don't want to kill you. I want to go after your captain that's giving you these orders.
Yeah, like disarming someone and sparing their life.
As opposed to, like, cutting off their hands, because that'd probably take a little less effort. Especially for Zillow.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Zillow has this little simp moment with Tashigi.
Simp moment may be strong, but I hear you and I understand what you're saying.
Well, it's more just a knee-jerk emotional reaction. He never really got to resolve his emotions for fucking
Queena?
slip and slide.
Slip and slide.
Slip and
Stairmaster negative 3000.
Jesus Christ. Oh, Dylan.
But yeah, it's like that. I feel like those unresolved emotions is why he just... It was just like, oh, she died? Well, I have to be the best. I feel like he never really resolved that trauma. It was more just, I want to throw myself into my training to kind of push these emotions to the background. And every time he sees Tashigi, they come back to the forefront.
And that's why you need to go to therapy. Resolving trauma.
But then we get the Nami and Usopp around. I love when Nami and Usopp are fleeing together. Because it always leads to some goofy moment. Because like the last time, it's just like Usopp just like put on the gas and ditch Nami. But this time, like
I forgot about that. You're right.
But it does like the classic like cityscape like runaway thing, just knocking over barrels and shit to trip people up. And he's like, oh my god, it worked. And Nami's even like, damn, yeah, good job, Usopp, which you don't get from Nami a lot. Nami's not much of a compliment to Usopp. But they get to the rain. I guess it's rain dinners. I don't know what.
Rain Dinners is the facility. Rain Base is the
town. It's just Rain Dinners for a fucking casino name.
It is weird.
It's weird. I don't get it, but
it's where you eat all of the rain.
Like Rain Diner, I think would have been a better name, even though it's not a diner. It's just dinners and a title.
It's a casino.
I mean, they probably got a buffet. I mean, come on, it's Vegas, baby. But there's a firing line waiting for him, and then this is Baroque work, so I'm kind of surprised that Zillow only takes him out with a kick. I'm surprised Zillow wasn't coming in blades drawn, because it's Baroque agents, not the Navy.
Maybe he's just like, I don't have time to waste.
Yeah, he's got his feet out. They're already moving.
Yeah. It's like, I'm just gonna...
I love this. Fucking Luffy shows up, and it's like, guys, get inside. And they're like, shit, Smoker's with him. he let him back to us again. And then I think what adds a lot of for the last panels with Crocodile, what adds a lot of the sinisterness to it, I don't know. It's because all we've seen from him is super dour, super serious, super angry guy all the time. The fact that he's like, kind of like, legitimately laughing.
Yeah, he's like amused.
Yeah, it's actually like full on like amused and entertained.
He's getting a kick out of
creepy.
it.
Which
his prey has come to him.
Yeah, which makes it so sinister.
Yeah,
it's like
absolutely.
Because I think Crocodile to me is like on levels of like Arlong if Arlong was a human. Like you get that same level of like unsettledness to him.
Yeah,
emotionally.
Yeah.
Okay, because I think Croc would handle.
Arlong. Easily.
Yeah, but from, like, the type of person that...
But the type of, like dread you feel when around him is kind of similar. Well, Crocodile probably more so.
There's no goodness in them at all. Like, yeah.
Right.
And, like, the thing is, Arlong was more just, like, cruel for the sake of being cruel. Whereas Crocodile is cruel but calculated, which makes it a lot worse.
It's like big brain time strategy, for sure.
It's like Arlong's Darth Maul, where Crocodile's Palpatine. Darth Maul's more just about fucking people over, causing disarray. Whereas Palpatine's like, no, I'm pulling strings and I'm gonna overthrow the Republic and make it my empire. But yeah, that's all I got.
Alright, so 168. I would agree with you guys. Cool shot of Rain Base. And we finally see Nami getting a weapon. I think that portends some kind of conflict.
With Buggy, we did see her with her quarterstaff. And I think in Arlong Park we saw her with a quarterstaff too.
So this is the baton, right? So I guess her type of weapon is baton / quarterstaff ish.
Yeah. Climate, which obviously that brings up like weather and stuff, and she's shown to be a master of that kind of stuff, for lack of a better term.
I will admit, when I first saw that, I was like, is she gonna be able to use like moves and attacks that change the weather patterns?
We will see. We will see. But I do think it lends itself to Nami taking on a combat role at some point. So, look forward to seeing that. Again, she is my favorite Straw Hat not named Luffy. So, let's go. Chopper saying I gotta pee. I know V touched on it. We had a great laugh, but
so
I could not
funny.
stop laughing after it was brought.
It's just the way he's drawn in the corner with the little bubble of he's just, I gotta pee. There's nothing else. It's so good.
It was so silly, but it felt very real. Like, yeah, he probably does have to pee.
Yeah.
Luffy leading the cops to them again brought up the question: can someone unintentionally be a narc? Like, maybe not. And then I like the split up. I like them having to split up and each kind of get their own path forward. It allows for our resolution that we will see. It splits Sanji off, it splits Vivi off, and I think it really lends itself well to the story here. The whole thing.
And I also like the fact that it brings Smoker in with the group, which, as we're progressing through this volume, brings up really interesting things. Like, it was good to spend more time with Smoker, as far as I'm concerned.
No, that's a great point. Yeah, it brought Smoker in, and the whole thing was very cool. It was very quick. They didn't linger too much on one thing. It was very dynamic. And I love Sanji's moment. Bad luck for you. And then Zoro, try again. Like, they're confronting the mobs that are chasing them. It was just really cool. Yeah, overall, it was chaotic action. Brought us into our encounter with Crocodile very well. Had a lot to offer. It was funny. It was action packed. The only thing it didn't really have is like lore dumps and big information drops. So that's fine. What it did great. It did what it did well. That's what I had for 168. 169 is Dylan.
Alrighty. Cover page again. Interesting. Continue the Django story. I guess he's leaving on a Navy vessel. He tries to shake Full Body's hand. Full Body denies it. But I like. Because like the thing I'm noticing with it is like the way the Marines structured the uniforms kind of tell a lot. Because before he had like a coat, like a suit coat, like slacks, and now he's back into like just the sleeveless shirt and shorts like the rest of the deckhands.
Right.
I mean, they're not wearing shorts, but he got promoted. He got demoted he got busted back to private from the looks of it, and that's really interesting to see. And that's cool how he can use the uniforms to tell that kind of story.
That's a great point, Dylan. I like that. Yeah. These cover pages are really good at their subtlety.
It's I think crazy how much of a story he's telling with them.
I'm so happy we have you to kind of pay attention to it. Because I do pay attention to it, but not in as much detail as you do. So to have Dylan be the official intro image story tracker.
I get the broad strokes every time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not missing the huge parts, but yeah, absolutely, I agree. His uniform tells that part of the story.
Which even if like it hadn't have told you, like in the last one, it's like, oh, Django's acquitted, but Full Body gets demoted. If they haven't put that in there, you'd still probably be able to take away, oh, he doesn't stand where he used to stand. Cool. I like that. I like the little detail in the opening panels of Rain Dinner's the biggest casino in Rain Base.
There are other casinos.
Okay. Yeah, it's like, well, from my takeaway from the first go through, it was like, oh, it's just there's this town built around this casino. And of course, Luffy shows up and immediately Crocodile come on out in the middle of the casino, and everybody's kind of like, what? Just kind of imagine how like when I was feeling saucy on the cruise, I was doing my thing in the casino, I have a feeling I kind of got the same kind of reaction. People were like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
So, I just want to point out that my thing is a severe undertelling of what Dylan was screeching on the cruise. For those who are possibly...
Don't make him do it again.
Wondering what the hell... Yeah, don't do it, Dylan. It won't transfer through this medium.
It's a lot of fun. It's very Oompaville-esque. I stole it from him.
You're just going to peek your mic and it's going to sound like shit.
I think I've done it before, and that's exactly... I think you had to cut it from the episode because it's like, there's nothing. Just a little bit of noise and then static.
It just his voice. Yeah. His voice goes to places that no one really wants it to go to. That's all you need to know, listeners.
Gotta pronunciate from the diaphragm. That's where you get all the power.
It's hilarious in situ for the first 3 times. It was a great trip.
And then the assistant manager, some strange characters. Have security take care of them, but don't make a scene.
Some of those hairdos are wild.
It's casino hairdo.
Yeah, it's like the assistant manager just makes me think it's like Vegeta, but like starting to bald.
I like
Assistant to the regional manager.
And like I love the thing. It's like, and then Smoker comes in. He's like, "Oh, just have security handle it." It's like, bro, it's the Straw Hats, and now Smoker's here too. Like security ain't got it. Security really don't got it, dude.
Nope.
And we actually get to see that. We see like the goons show up and like, "Just a moment, sir. Please come with us." And normally, if that happens to you in like a Vegas casino, you're probably getting taken to a back room where your kneecaps are getting cracked. Because counting cards isn't illegal, but they really don't like it when you do it.
Some would argue that what's going to happen to them is worse than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But like I said, security ain't it, and the panel immediately below that is them getting their shit caved in. And I like that Luffy's in the background running past. It's like, huh, did I just hit something? So it makes me wonder, it's like, who beat up security? Because based on that, I'm thinking
I think
it's
they
not
just got
one.
ran through, like a stampede almost.
And then, of course, the assistant manager comes up to, what is it, Miss All Sunday? Is that who she is? I forget the names. But like,
Yep.
Miss All
number
Sunday,
two,
yes.
yeah. He's like, "Oh, we have a problem." It's like, escort them to the VIP room. It's like, huh? Crocodile's orders. And it's interesting, like, because then you see them like laying out the red carpet. It's like, "Oh, come this way to the VIP room." And Nami's like, is he daring us? The fact that none of them are like, this is obviously a trap. Nami's kind of getting on there with, is he daring us to attack him? Zolo, of course, is like the Pig's God style. Although I do like Smoker's line of, with a little luck, I'll get all of them at the same time. And of course, Luffy, what's a VIP anyways?
Love that.
And then, oh my god, it was a trap. And Luffy, I love how it's like the blank stares, and then Luffy and Usopp are both like, it was a clever trap, sure fooled us. And then Nami's trying to chastise him. It's like, you didn't say anything to be like, hey, this is a bad idea. You just followed along. So fuck you.
They wouldn't have listened.
And then we get the explanation of basically these prism stones negate the powers of devil fruit users. Which, for him, it makes sense for him to have the tip of his club. As a devil fruit user, he probably is going to end up fighting devil fruit users. So it's his weapon's a little cooler now. It's pretty cool. It was okay to start with. Now it's pretty cool. And then Crocodile starts evil monologuing. And then we get to see Vivi's kind of like stacked up some bodies. Which from what we've seen of her, she's not really the type. Like every time I've seen her fight, she's been handled. Of course, she's been fighting the Straw Hats, but she puts
with her
people down.
little pinky rings.
Yeah, she's
done a little bit, not a lot.
No, but she can fuck some shit up to some extent.
Yeah. And then we get to see fucking Pill in action with his devil fruit powers. Which they shouldn't have called him Pell the Falcon. They should have called him Pell the Warthog.
Yeah,
coming in like an A10.
Yeah,
that's cool. I like seeing that. And it also brings in like questions of like where along the lines of firearms is the technology at? Because we've seen some revolvers. Now we're seeing a Gatling gun.
Would that be a repeating?
Well, no, because that's set up like a minigun. The only thing I can think of historically in that era that would be kind of is the hand cranked Gatling gun. But yeah, interesting.
I mean, we've seen Krieg, for example, with some
belt fed
high tech.
Yeah. But it's for the most part, everything you see is muskets and flintlocks.
I wouldn't look too much into it. I would say the technology is where it is, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, from what I've taken away from it so far is that like flintlock is the main. Like that's what everybody uses, flintlock. But there are some people who've gotten their hands on some really high end shit.
Yeah.
Whereas Mr. 5 had the revolver, which the way he used it, that's not how a revolver works.
You mean with putting his boogers in it?
Well, no, if he put his boogers in it, okay, that makes sense. He just put his breath into it. And it's like all that is just
that's right.
Vapor. If you were to strike it, it would just explode in the chamber and do nothing. It'd be a pop gun. Now, if you had your booger and you breathe into the end of it and then like you pulled the trigger and it ignited the gas and shot the booger out, yes, that's how a bullet works. I kind of like the tweet fruit. And the fact that we get to see this, like, this is one of the only 5 flying devil fruits. But we also get hit with the caveat of that are known to exist. And then we get to see the tweet fruit in full force, which again really like that fight style, kind of like super Animorphs vibes with this one, like the Falcon transition, like definitely take me back to those covers.
I have to say, tweet fruit.
Lame name. Yeah.
I can't take it super seriously. I'm sorry.
Because Falcons don't go tweet. They screech.
Screech, screech.
Yeah, screech.
That would be better than
sense. Yeah.
tweet. Jesus. Anyway,
I'm
fine.
So he's handling the shit, and he was like, all right, I got a moment, let me get to the homies. And then Miss All Sunday shows up. That bottom panel of Pell just been like, oh, these are the ones who want to destroy our country. Say less. Man, that's all I got. No SPS in that chapter.
But okay, so who is he talking about when he says, "Are these the people who want to destroy our country"? Is he talking?
The Brokeworks agents.
He's
Yeah,
talking
there's
about
more of them.
Okay. Yeah, I like how this chapter begins as they just barge into the casino, yelling out Crocodile's name. It's so stupid. Like, of course he wouldn't just be standing at the entrance waiting for them with his hands on his hips, being like, "I have been waiting for you." No.
Oh, hello.
It's just funny because we get the "Crocodile, come on out," and then right after that, inside Rain Dinners, you see like a wide shot of the inside of the casino and no one is paying attention to Luffy.
Why would they?
And he's standing there in the middle of it with his arms outstretched. I thought that was funny. So it isn't the first time that he calls him that, but I think it's the first time I actually paid any mind to it. Luffy calling Smoker Smokeroo, to me, is a good bit. I noticed it last chapter, but I like that it's now seemingly going to be a recurring thing. It's just because Smoker is he's so big and so powerful and so serious, and then you have Luffy being like Smokeroo. I don't know. I think it's funny. Really like the prison shot at page 7. I like the fact that the top of it is like we're seeing them from the other side of the holding cell, and then it shifts to an inside shot of the holding cell, and we see that Smoker has also been captured. And of course they would get got by a sign and a trap floor, like
Pirates,
right.
VIP.
It's just funny, but we're pirates.
It's so Looney Tunes.
The floor gave way. It's a trap. You fucking idiots. Of course it was a trap. And yeah, so then Dylan kind of got into it. The sequence of events between pages, I think it was from 9 to 11, was informative. It seems like Smoker is just randomly attacking Luffy, but he demonstrates why Luffy is so weak. It's because of the sea prisms and the fact that the bars of the holding cells are made of it. I'm not going to be super eloquent about this, but I just had to point out Crocodile is such a badass. Like, even just his little speech or monologue over pages 12 and 13, it just oozes power and charisma. And again, I'm so drawn by the way that he is drawn, like by his design.
I can't help but feel like the furs that he wears plays a big part into it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why.
Well, it makes it look kind of like... he looks
elegant?
Yeah, like regal.
Refined?
Almost.
Regal, yeah.
Well, like the super large overcoat just drips
He looks like a
mafioso.
pimp. He looks like a pimp, but not in a
Pimp's
bad
a great
way.
way to put
But
it.
he looks like a pimp,
Yeah.
but he has...
A pimp, but not like a caricature of a
right.
pimp.
He looks like a
Like defending pimps.
absolutely rizzed up pimp. Like, I don't know. And just... I can't decide if I'm attracted to him or not.
You are.
The fact that I'm asking myself the question.
Yeah, you are. You've thought enough about it to be like, damn, he could get some.
Well, no, actually, I haven't thought about it until now, and now I'm looking at him
He
and
does
I'm like...
ooze big dick energy, though.
Gigantic. He has a hog. A hog.
Should have called him
One of those
not Mr.
Costco
Crocodile,
hot
Mr.
dogs.
Hog, yeah.
Mr. Hog.
Mr. Hog and Dogs. That's fucking
But
rich.
just and also just in the way that he's written, like what he says, like he's so confident. Since you're going to die together, you might as well be friends. Like he's so confident and so cocky, and I like that. At the same time, he is obviously despicable, and there are plenty of reasons to hate him. And as we've talked about in the previous volume, his strategies for how to take control over Alabasta are exactly that, despicable and horrible. But man, as a character, he impresses me.
Can you think of a villain who had Riz like this? Like Kuro?
I think Kuro had the beginnings of that. Like, I think the reason why I like Kuro is the same reason why I like Crocodile so much. It's just with Crocodile, it's amped up to, it's turned all the way up to 11.
Yeah.
But like, Arlong didn't have the same charisma. Arlong felt like a creep to me. And while I'm sure, like, although Crocodile has some creepy aspects to him, like his eyes, he doesn't come across as a creep. He comes across as, like, tyrant psychopath, but not a creep.
Yeah.
Anyway, Maybe I am attracted to him, but we won't linger on that. We don't need to get into that at this juncture.
I'm sure we will.
Anyway, we might. And yeah, so as Dylan kind of touched on, I know that the ending of this chapter is meant to sell Pell as someone who wants to protect Vivi, but I still can't help but think that there's more to it than that, and that there's something about his intention that doesn't feel right. And even the way, and I do have to say that bottom panel of him at the bottom of page 19 where he says, Princess Vivi, are these the people that want to destroy our country? Great, beautifully drawn panel. It almost, the way that he says it, it's almost as if he already knows who these people are. But that because Vivi is there, he's pretending. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. And maybe that's me reading too much into it because I have an innate distrust for him as a character. But it still comes across as, there's something, I'm not too sure. I'm still not too sure about him. And that doesn't really get resolved throughout the rest of this volume, despite some upcoming action. And yeah, I did note that I thought it was interesting to hear that he's eaten one of the 5 flying devil fruits. And it does make me wonder if and how we'll encounter the 4 others and what they consist of in terms of how do those 4 other devil fruit powers differ from what he has going on. So I am curious about that. But overall, this felt a little bit more like a transitional chapter in the volume. Not a bad one. Just I don't think it carries the same importance as some of the other chapters previous or upcoming in this volume, but it still had some really good moments. Yeah, that's what I got for 169.
Yeah. I love the break into Rain Dinners. The whole sequence was just really fun. As a casino aficionado gambler myself, I use that term loosely. There are people who are way more gamblers than me. But I just love the setting being casino. I love them running through a casino. I love that the villain is this mafioso kind of guy. I mean, this is me. This whole thing just screams Michael. Love the quick cut to the jail cell, like they're running and then just boom, jail. It's so like movie-esque, TV-esque. It is dynamic the word I'm looking for. I'm trying not to use dynamic.
I think dynamic might be the word you're looking for, Michael.
Also, there was one little quote that had me scratching my head a little bit. So at the bottom of page 11, Usopp shouts, Zolo's, aka Zoro's, swords won't work. And why won't they work? Is it because they're in a tight space? Does he not have the room to operate? Because it's not a devil fruit thing. He's clearly used his swords.
Are they just not strong enough to pierce through the sea prison?
Is that what he's saying? If it'll cut them?
That's what I interpreted that as not being able to cut through the metal bars. Now, whether or not that's because they're just regular metal bars and a lot of swords won't cut through metal bars, or if it's because, I don't know, we were talking about how, Zoro's awfully resilient for some guy. I don't know.
Right.
We could get into the conspiracy theory of it.
I assumed he was talking about fighting Smoker. He was using his swords on Smoker. I don't know, but I can move past it. And then, yeah, we get just a classic villain scene with Crocodile monologuing at them while they're trapped. Last chapter, we used Dr. Evil as kind of a foil for Crocodile.
Yeah. Frickin' sharks with frickin' laser beams on their heads.
Yeah. And while I still think that holds up, but I mean, I will mention this point probably a couple more times, but James Bond villain to the max. I mean, he is monologuing at them. He is confident. At some points, I think he tells them his plans and yada, 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 which that's fine. It's a little overdone in media, but it's done a lot because
he does talk a lot. But again, and I think that's kind of similar to the point I was making last episode about things not necessarily being necessary, but being good to drive the story.
Yeah,
I think that's that's the purpose it serves also. Truth, like in reality, maybe someone wouldn't go through having to do a little evil guy monologue in that situation, but it helps drive the story.
Yes, we are in a story. We are not in the White House, for example. Yeah, the next little scene was Pell coming in, Falcon with machine guns, Dylan's wet dream, if I may. Tweet fruit, stupid name. Twitter joke. I don't have one, but I'm sure there's one there. And then we get a cool little step up of Miss All Sunday. We get to see more of her in the next chapter, and we get a good bit of exposition with her throughout this, and I love it all. And yeah, I mean, overall, the past chapters were really good, but we're now in it big time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we are waist deep, I would say.
I was going to say balls
and we're getting
deep,
into
but that's
some
fine.
balls. Yeah, I mean, my balls are right around where my waist is. Well, I guess my waist is up here. Okay, we're thigh deep, balls deep. We'll say balls deep. This is some fire content. It's so good. Rain Dinners is a great setting. Even though we're in the basement, we're not really in the casino part of it, which may have not made sense, but I just love casinos. The Villain's Lair is still awesome. Pell has a cool power, but we also are about to see Miss All Sunday in action, and yeah, let's go. Let's fucking go. 170 is V.
I am just going to preface by saying that I have a lot of notes for this chapter. This was a fantastic chapter as far as I'm concerned. You're going to have to excuse the back and forth that I'm going through with Pell as a character. Because here, just kind of seeing Pell's reaction at the bottom of page 3, more specifically, when he's talking, when you see the grief on his face, when he realized that Igaram is dead, it does make me wonder about what his intentions truly are. At some point, it'll be made more clear, I think, but in the meantime, I'm just going to keep speculating and maybe be a little bit wishy-washy about what I truly think he's about. But he has moments one way or another where I'm like, kind of sus, or kind of not sus. Page 4 was nice and dynamic, with the initial shot of Miss All Sunday's stunning Vivi, followed by a close-up on, then you see, like, Vivi's stunned face, Miss All Sunday's, like, super stoic expression, and then Pell just shouting out her name. That was a really, really good page in general. And again, I kind of hate that dynamic has become kind of a joke term on this podcast, but it's true because it manages to convey movement really well, despite us not being able to see the movement. And I think that says a lot about Oda's capacity as an author / artist, is his ability to convey these things that are kind of left up to the imagination when you're reading something in that comic book manga format, as opposed to seeing it animated or live action. But that was a really good example here of his prowess. And then Miss All Sunday. I am scaroused. So we get an overview of her devil fruit powers. First, we see her grabbing onto Pell's wings with her extra arms. Then she explains that she's eaten the flower fruit, which allows her to blossom parts of her body. And really, sprouting limbs from anywhere is fucking terrifying. Both because
it's that body horror that we love so much.
Both because it's potentially very powerful, and because it's creepy as hell. Like,
yeah, because I will say, like, the top shot of 6. That definitely like gives off like biblically accurate angel.
Yes,
exactly.
I wrote the same thing.
It's like wings, that is so unsettling.
And the fucking arm. Just like, and again, beautifully drawn. And like how does one even conjure up the image of how to draw that? Like, it's scary. It's really scary. Also, I have to say, and then I just shout out to the top panel of page 8 where you see her kind of a full body shot and her arm having several arms sticking out of it. That was just a good panel to really illustrate what her powers are about. Page 10 gave me Dead Hand monster in Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Like the monster that has the arms in the Shadow Temple.
Yeah.
That has the hands coming out of the ground and just grabbing onto Link. That's what it gave. Seemingly she manages to at least KO Pell. I guess we'll see if that lasts. And I do want more clarity about him down the line, which, like I said, we don't get in this volume, but we'll see. And then, I don't know, like, complete shift in mood as far as I'm concerned, because then, you know, we're back inside the holding cell and somehow it feels very homey. Like over pages 12 and 13, You have Luffy imitating Sanji. Nami giving Zoro shit for sleeping. Meanwhile, they're still trapped in a cage and they could be killed.
They're back on the ship.
Yeah.
They could be killed at literally any moment. And they're still just being so... they're such straw hats. They're so them. And they can't help but being themselves, even if in the most potentially dire of situations. And I thought that was kind of a breath of fresh air and it was endearing. And then, that's where, like, all of my notes are, basically, for this chapter, is the last few pages of the chapter. Like, as I was reading it, I was getting giddy and excited. Like, I couldn't stop reading. And I'm just going to give you guys a few highlights, because, like I said, I have a lot to say. Vivi's entrance at pages 14 and 15 was wonderful. You get the wide shot of the stairs, but then it's followed by a super interesting display of perspective, because the first panel of page 15 is a wide shot from the top, looking down on Crocodile, probably close enough to how Vivi would actually see him from where she stands. We then turn back towards Vivi closer, but basically from the opposite angle of the previous panel, and finally it ends by a close-up shot of Crocodile's face. It's like I could see the movement, or I could see the camera shots. Yeah, I could see the camera shots as if it was being filmed. Like, that was wonderful in terms of just artistry and again, using the panels and the page as a way to pace the action. Then, Vivi charges at Crocodile, full speed, attempts to strike him, and that top panel of page 17 is phenomenal.
Yeah.
As Vivi, she basically hovers over the table. She's throwing the peacock string slasher at Crocodile, and his head disappears in a cloud of what I presume is sand. And then
she's also got like a follow-up strike, like already like wound up and ready to go.
Oh yeah.
She's ready for the 1-2.
She's winding it. Yeah, she is. But where's her target, right? And then that bottom panel of Vivi's face as she catches her breath on the same page, on page 17, I thought was beautiful. And it's made even more striking by what follows. That half-page panel at 18 of Crocodile holding Vivi from behind with his hook around her wrist and his hand on her mouth was art. Like, that is a beautiful panel. It's beautifully drawn with the wispy kind of sandy edges, the darkness of his fur coat that's enveloping Vivi, and the slight play in perspective that makes it look as though Vivi is trying to reach forward with her hand, but his hook is preventing her from reaching forward towards the reader. And then the threat, how would you like to become a mummy? Full body goosebumps when I read that the first time. I stared at that page for like a solid 5 minutes being like, oh my god, this is amazing. And yeah, I'm guessing that that's what he did to Mr. 3, turning him into a mummy. And then it ends with the final panel stating that it's 7 o'clock and Baroque Works Operation Utopia begins. A long day is beginning. And in that moment, it's almost as though I could hear an ominous bell toll. Like,
yeah,
those last few pages were just, I beyond what I feel like I was pretty verbose about it, but like, it was something. I was really, really impressed by this chapter. And that's what I have for 170.
All right. Well, the cover image again is like, at this point, Django's like, all right, well, I'll hypnotize you so you forget this friendship, and it won't be a burden to you, and you'll be able to move on. Nice touch.
And Men in Black.
Yeah, kind of like the look into this. I like a little bit of the interactions between Pell and Vivi and Miss All Sunday. Vivi's pissed off. It's like, how could you do that to Igaram? And then Pell's like, what the... I like the drawing of Pell when he realizes that she killed Igaram. Because before they're like, oh, wait, he's going to come back at some point, right? And then there's the shot of, like, Miss All Wednesday just putting her arm through Vivi. Which, from my understanding, now that we've kind of seen what the power is more just a ploy to draw him in. Because I think all she actually did was punch her in the diaphragm to knock the wind out of her, and then made an arm sprout out of her back to make him think that she killed him.
When I saw that, I was like, what the fuck was the point of that? But yeah, to draw him in, to kind
of... make him angry so he stops thinking about what he's doing and he starts making mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because once you see his face at the bottom, it's like, oh yeah, he is blindly in rage. And the top panel of 5 of 20, like him going at it with all abandon, the way he's just drawn it, you can see that it's like fully launched off, spiraling after him at top speed. That was drawn very well. And I guess Pell's the one screaming, "Turn to Alabasta and Sand."
Yes.
But the reveal of the Tress floors is wonky as shit.
In a bad way?
Well, no, like we touched on, though, like the whole biblically accurate angel look.
It's terrifying.
It's like, dear God, I'd be terrified if fucking Oda brought like Junji Ito on as just a guest artist for a couple of these shots. It's like, ugh. He already does a phenomenal job at it, but it's just like, it's giving me those levels of unsettling. So interesting power, but we can see because of it, she kind of kicks the ever-living shit out of Pell. Suplexes that. Actually, well...
I think it's a suplex.
Yeah, suplex. Because when I first read it, it seemed like maybe she was like snapping his neck, just forcing him back so hard and wrenching on the head. And it causes the spine to snap. But you see she lets go with the other hands and he goes flying to the ground. But you did make a good point. It does seem like a little bit more ship life at 12, where Luffy and Usopp are just goofing. And I love Zilla waking up. Morning already? No, it's the same day, goddammit. Immediately after all like this chastisement she's doing, Crocodile laugh, like kind of like in a dejecting way, it's like, you're a spirited young lady. And then like immediately afterwards, it's like, you just wait, motherfucker. Once these guys get out of this cage, you're fucked.
Is that said, or is that your editorial?
Well, it's in my editorial. So when these guys get out of this cage, they'll kick your butt higher than the
Nami
clouds.
says that, yeah.
Right, Luffy, and Luffy's like, yeah! And then you get the sinister line, she has a great deal of trust in you, Straw Hat, but trust is the most overrated thing in the world. Which I'm waiting to see. A little prediction time in here. I think Miss All Sunday is going to stab him in the back. Because he's so arrogant, being like, oh, trust is so overrated. She's the one who interacts with him all the time and knows that he feels that way. So I think she's going to stab him in the fucking back.
Stab Crocodile in the back?
Mm-hmm. That's my guess. Thrown in there. It's just a hunch.
I think she might.
Because she's already helped. Because before, well, kind of helped. She was trying to
give when they were at sea.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can argue that's like she tried to give the eternal pose for Alabasta to them, which is probably more to just further along the plans, but there's other things she said that was like, you might not be 100% on board with your employer.
Yeah. No, that's...
It's a very interesting character.
It's interesting that you bring that up, because I like, in some ways, I feel like she's very much playing into the role that she's in, but also it's never felt genuine.
Yeah, it's like she's
always
playing a
felt
role.
Like it's just a role, exactly.
Well,
like she's doing this out of necessity, but I don't think that she has any, or at least she's not given the impression that she has any sort of true allegiance to Baroque works. So, yeah.
Would you say she's always been a little cunty in her interactions
Miss
with Crocodile?
That...
She's never like, oh yes, Mr. Crocodile, whatever you say.
She's cold and sarcastic. I guess, I mean, cunty's a little harsh, but...
fair.
A little...
It's a word that's been on my tongue lately.
Snippy, waspy? Yeah.
She's very... And also, in some ways, she's flat. Like, there's no,
I beg to differ. I've seen that picture.
Oh, my God. That's... You know what I mean. But, I mean, in her interactions with Crocodile, she... I don't feel any heart in it. I don't feel like she really cares about him or Baroque works. I don't know.
It's like going through the motions until the time's right for me to further myself. I could see that.
And like if she sees a better opportunity come at her in the future, she would take it. Yeah, absolutely. I believe that. I'm on board with that.
I do respect the shit of like Vivi just going boss hog at it. Just like giving it all, trying to just like take him out in one shot. And like Luffy, Usopp's, and Nami's reaction to it is like, oh, holy shit, whoa, dude. But then the Super Sinister thing where it's just he appears like Gara-esque shit just appears right behind.
Here comes the Gara comparison.
I mean, sand powers. I'm sorry. Even though I'm pretty sure this came out before, so when Gara came around, they're like, bro, that's Crocodile.
It was close.
That's Crocodile as fuck, dude. And then the ending, where it's just like, it's 7 o'clock, like a long day's beginning. That's all the one things was like, this is when the operation's going to happen. This is when the operation's going to happen. The operation has started. It's going to be a long day.
Yeah.
Great end of the chapter. Really like that. I've loved that. It's just added like a level of severity to it.
Yeah.
To whereas I imagine if you are reading chapter by chapter as it's coming out, like you're just fucking sweating bullets the whole time. Be like, oh man, when's it gonna drop?
Yeah.
You're waiting for like a midnight release of it. So you've been talking to all the local people who carry comics. Like, hey, when does the vendor come in with the new shit? Like, I need to get
That's
it.
me with the cards.
But yeah, that's all I got.
I will probably agree with a lot of you guys' points. I don't think I defer on really anything here. This was excellent. This was a great chapter. It opens with, as we left off in the last chapter, Miss All Sunday introducing herself in a very interesting way. I loved her mocking politeness. She says, "I'd like to invite the princess to our palace. All right with you?" Like, that's not something you say if you're concerned that the person you're talking to might beat your ass.
Yeah.
It has all the confidence of...
Very, very confident.
...of the vice president of Baroque Works. It's a good foil to Crocodile. They complement each other well. They both seem to have very... I would agree with you guys. I kind of got some self-interested kind of vibes from it. Crocodile straight up says trust is shit, so it's a very interesting duo. So great start to this chapter. You guys really kind of helped me on page 4. I was like, okay, so obviously her arm is not going through Vivi. Obviously Vivi is not getting run through.
Because you didn't see a splash of blood or anything like that, so...
Yeah, so at first I was like, what was really the point of that? But yeah, I could see enraging Pell being a legitimate strategy. So I'm on board with that. Then I loved the art of this fight. I mean, at the top of 6,
so
the
good.
Biblically accurate angel, as you guys have described it, as I described it in my notes. And then, I just love Miss All Sunday's power. It is both very disturbing and very cool at the same time. It nails that body horror that we've seen more than I remember seeing from my first read through of One Piece. I do not remember this much body horror, but it is.
There's a lot. This isn't the first time that we've seen it and that we've pointed it out, and it keeps coming back.
I am slightly surprised and loving. I love being surprised in this instance. So yeah, she's so nonchalant. She's so dangerous. And then of course page 10, some of the best art of this volume when Pell is getting fucking thrown down by arms that aren't his, sprouted upon his body. That was some crazy shit. I thought that was this is a crazy power. I think this is one of the most unique and interesting powers that I can remember us seeing. I may be missing one or two, but love it.
No, it's definitely, there's something very unsettling about it, and it evokes something very visceral in terms of a power.
It's funny seeing Nami so pressed in the cage. Like, Nami, what are you stressed about? 1, Luffy is out of commission, more or less.
There's nothing they can do. No.
Exactly. She's so worried. And for what? Which, it makes sense. She is not comfortable. She's not happy here. She does not have that ability to take a nap in a moment like this, like Zoro does. Not gonna happen. And then, we've seen it before. Croc, unbothered, self-confident, scary.
Yeah.
And then we go to the top of
page. I
agree.
400%.
About the Nami?
No, just Crocodile, just non-bothered, super confident.
Oh,
sinister as fuck.
Yeah, and then the top of 17. I put a star next to this because I love Vivi going at Crocodile with literally everything she has to give.
So good.
She has nothing more she can do here, but she has to do it. She has to try, and she is quickly shown that she is out of her element. And then, the next page, 18, where he's holding her. V, I agree with you 100%. This is so well drawn, with the edges kind of flared out, like sand flying, the darkness. Oh my God.
I feel like it was a very intentional shot. Like, every detail of that shot was thought through, and
down to the sand dots,
He had a vision in mind, and he managed to express it in such a pristine way.
Absolutely. And of course, the final panel. It just sets everything into context. Yeah. We get a lot of these contextual panels, but this one's just black and words, and it hits so much harder than I think it ever should have or would have, or I don't know. I don't know how else to say except, wow. Yeah, just to kind of summarize, badass chapter. Great action. It gives us our first glimpse at All Sunday, and a even closer look at what Crocodile's capable of. What can I say except, and I've said this before, wow. But yes, 171 will be Dylan.
Yeah, 171 cover story. Stop love, shock, female officer. And for it's literally just a knee-jerk reaction because she has a cigarette in her mouth.
Yeah.
But I want her to be the female Sanji.
She looks like, well,
Just,
and even
like,
you
complete,
can
like-
presume that her hair is blonde also, and even just
Yeah.
the way that she's dressed, like the
suit underneath the coat.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, dude, that's female Sanji, and her and Sanji meet up, and just for whatever reason, just despise the fuck out of each other. Like, I'm ready
Sparks
for
will
it.
fly. Yeah.
And then this is interesting. This kind of more like the start of this chapter kind of more plays into what I was going on, where Chaka might be not up to snuff.
Yeah.
Because it opens up, Lord Chaka, he's nowhere to be found. We've searched the entire palace, the royal chambers, the balconies, the gardens, even the grain storehouse, but we can't find him anywhere. Find his majesty. I'm thinking at the bottom was like finding people a specialty, this Pell specialty, if only he were here now. If you were thinking that, it'd be like, oh, okay, no, he's probably is a good, but he's saying it out loud, he's more covering his own tracks.
Yeah.
Because my thing is, I think Chaka, anytime Mr. 2 has to come in and do shady shit, Chaka makes sure the king is indisposed to the side somewhere. It's just the opening of this chapter really more kind of like heightens my paranoia that Chaka is working with Baroque Works in some way.
Right. And then, well, top page 4 also, I think, is pretty revealing.
Yeah, I mean, that cool, that since that's inner dialogue kind of reels back my suspicions, but at the same time, it could possibly be that just Mr. 2 is able to get in there, get the king removed, and then show up as the king without him realizing it, and he's just a patsy the whole time. But I don't know. And then we get a little bit of flashback of Koza and, I forget his name, his grandfather.
Toto?
Yeah, Toto, that's it. But he's like, oh, you can imagine the Toto the whole time. It's like, oh, you gotta remember the king, the majesty, he's a good man, a good leader.
Meanwhile, this kid's like, I don't think you know what the fuck's happening, old man.
Well, I think this is before he decided to become a rebel. I think this is like before that, and it's like, all right, like I get it. Yeah, I didn't do this for His Majesty. I did it for our kingdom. I did it for the people, not His Majesty. And then it kind of covers the whole thing where it's like, Toto keeps towing that line. It's like the rebels are now 100,000. Blood's been spilled. There's been fights between citizens. Which is like supremely faithful, and the whole time is like, as a younger guy who hasn't like lived to see some of like, because I think Toto spent his whole probably the majority of his life or a long period of his life under the dictation of this king, whereas Koza's just a kid and has only experienced like 5-10 years of it, and during that time, the Mr. 2's doing the dance powder shit.
And you can imagine also, like, I'm not exactly sure how old Cobra is, but Toto is older than Cobra, and I guess you can imagine that he's saw him come into power, right? Yeah. Exactly, and the extent of his leadership.
You can imagine that, yeah, Toto's faith is probably founded in something,
right? Exactly.
He probably didn't just wake up one day and be like, king. I choose king.
Yeah.
Well, Koza's just a kid. Now he's seen all this thing. It hasn't rained in a year, and there's nothing he's doing yet. Like, you keep saying he's a good man. He's a good man.
Let's say he's 18. That's a large portion of his life at that point. A large portion of his like conscious thinking life, you know?
Because all he saw good of the king was like when he was a kid and he saved his daughter, and it was like, hey, let me thank you for that. Let me give your grandfather a large responsibility, which has its benefits. But then all of a sudden everything starts drying up, and he's sitting here trying to keep this town that's doomed to fail alive, and he's angsty. He's growing up, and so he's mad about it.
Right, yeah.
It makes a lot of sense why he becomes the rebel leader. Like, Oda played this story out very well.
Yeah, I think so. Last chapter, I was questioning whether it was necessary, but again, it's been a long time since I've read this, but like the more we dig into it, the more I like how everything kind of fits together so far. And
like the thing is, like, we get to see the throne room scene with Koza yelling at the king, and it's like, you have dance powder, you have the ability to make rain, and then Cobra is a good king. It's like, it would fix your problem, cause more people more problems. It's like, we can't use it.
It doesn't change the issue.
Yeah.
The issues.
You're looking at it from your perspective.
It's like, you got blinders on. I see the whole picture, and the whole picture is, if I do this somewhere, everywhere else will suffer.
Someone else is going to suffer. Yeah.
It's like,
and the goal is to end the suffering altogether, not just to shift it places.
And this whole interaction kind of makes me think, it's like, man, if Vivi doesn't come around and talk any sense into Koza's gonna, if he were to win, he'd be a terrible ruler. He would cause so much suffering. Because the top of 9, when Cobra's like, oh, you haven't changed. Because he realizes he's a passionate, inflamed kid, like he wants to defend his thing, and he's like, oh, yes, I have. Now I can fight. I'll be back for the rain.
I'm gonna interject just real quick. To me, Koza is giving Boromir vibes. Yeah. Whereas I feel like his intent is good, but he is too short-sighted and too focused on what will immediately solve the issue that he is most directly dealing with.
So you think it's solving your issue, but it's actually helping the enemy.
Exactly. But I don't think that he's evil. I don't think that he is malintended. I don't think that he wants people to suffer, but I think that maybe that does come from a place of despair.
What was Boromir's cause that was kind of short-sighted?
Save Gondor. His only thing was saving Gondor.
Right.
Oh, and let Mordor just run rampant?
No, it's like, no, that is the weapon
we can
of
use.
our enemy.
We can use the ring.
Let us use it. Where it's like, okay.
To our advantage.
Not listening to the wiser counsel where it's like, no, we've seen its power. Like, it has influence. Sure, you'll do a couple good things. Yeah. But it'll eventually end bad. It'll eventually be what the enemy wanted.
And I'm feeling like there's a comparison to be drawn here with the dance powder, which is a tool to be used.
But if you
use it, exactly.
There's always a cost.
Right. But I think Koza is short-sighted.
Yeah.
And
I don't think it's a malicious intent, but it's like the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
You couldn't, exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then this is definitely, we cut back to Nanahana, and it's like, this is Mr. 2. So somehow, I think Chaka's implicit in it, but somehow as the king is being moved to the side so Mr. 2 can come in and put up a charade. And he's like, oh, this is my way of apologizing for taking the reign of this country, and in order to do that, I'm going to sacrifice this port, burn it to the ground. And then also kicks the shit out of this little kid. Pretty fucking funny. Middle of 12. He's like, oh, you stole the reign, that's why this country's fucking dried up. And the thing is, like, the interactions we've seen from Cobra, it immediately lets us know that's not Cobra. That's Mr. 2.
Yeah, I had red flags coming up.
Yeah, as soon as the king was missing,
I still think Chaka's implicit in it.
As soon as he was like, burn this corrupt city to the ground, I was like, excuse me, that's not the guy. That's not the guy.
Well, and the fact that he's in Nanohana, it's like, you firmly stated that was not at all your intent. Your intent was to go to Rainbow. Right. This is somebody's fucking around. Which I was doing a good job of giving us enough information to make those, to connect the dots, to say.
Pepe Sylvia.
And again, Mr. 2 is like, it's confrontation with the rebel leader. And it's like, you gotta see some of the older people be like, oh my god, your majesty in the background. And like, he throws out the line, after all, who dried up this country in the first place? I did. It was like fully taking responsibility for it in front of loyal subjects. And then they fucking shoot Koza. And after that, you see Mr. 2 lets the mask slip. Gets the shit-eating grin, now it's time. Oh, and just the beauty of, like, it's been so choreographed. It's like now an armory ship crashes into port. And it's just, oh my god, look at all these guns and weapons. Oh, there's a rebel force here who's needed weapons? Damn. Who'd have thunk it? And I loved, like, the interaction of the other Baroque agents who are there just kind of sauntering through the street. Which is like, seems almost too easy for the grand finale. And he fucking puts on those stupid bonbons. It's like, oh, I didn't feel like myself without these. Whew.
But yet, Dylan, the ship crashing into it, so it felt very... I may be giving a little too much credit, because I think Ocean's 11 is one of my favorite movies. Like, top 50 all time, at least.
I've never watched it all the way
through.
But
it's giving Ocean's 11, where everything just kind of happens, so quickly.
Planned it so meticulous that, like, all the pieces just fall into place.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, it very much does give that vibe, so.
Well, and I think we're like, the countdown is over, and now shit's happening, and that was the perfect way to kind of bring it in. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a ship crashing into a fucking port? Hell yeah.
That's...
Not even a ship.
Like, that really well.
That's the thing that's blowing my mind about that, like, because again, Oda is very, very, very good at giving you perspective, giving you the scale of the scenery. We've seen wide open shots now before, we know it's quite large. Then we see this just fucking absolutely bigger, probably bigger than any ship we've ever seen, maybe not Don Krieg's, but like crashing into harbor, and it's massive. It takes out like fucking blocks on blocks.
Yeah, and absolutely.
Like, even with the onomatopoeia that come with it, like at page 17 we get the big like crash, and then page 18 is like the
like tremors of it coming down.
Yeah, you can almost hear how deafening it is to
makes you feel
have the ship. Absolutely.
But yeah, that's all I got. Great chapter. It's honestly just good volume. We're gonna be honest. The pacing's fucking super good.
Yeah.
But that's all I got.
Me.
Introduce yourself.
It's me. Hi. I'm gonna talk now. It's me.
Chris Pratt.
Yeah, I liked the shot of the king's palace. Again, I just like those environmental scenic shots. Top of page 4, I can't help but shake that feeling that Shaka's up to no good. Because when he says, should anything happen to King Cobra, I can't lead the king's armies on my own authority. What now? Why now? What could have happened? And
so that would lend itself to him possibly being an agent of some kind, but perhaps not a Baroque Works agent. It seems like, he's out of the loop at least.
I feel
Maybe.
like there's something happening where I don't trust him to fulfill the role that he seemingly is in. And I feel like there is intent behind his actions that is going to be ultimately detrimental to Alabasta. But I think it's obvious that he's out of his depth. Whatever's going on, he doesn't have any control over it, and he's freaking out.
With my takeaway, because that one kind of reeled me back to where it's like he is just purely sinister and like working against the kingdom. I think it's more like he might have been fully duped, and like Mr. 2 kind of like, hey, like I'm not telling everyone this because I only trust you. This is how we're going to proceed. Act ignorant.
And I don't know who he serves. Again, like Michael was saying, I don't know if it's Baroque Works. I would be inclined to think that it's not, because if Shaka and Pell are as close as we think they are, Pell was taken aback by Baroque Works coming in and sticking their nose in Alabasta's business. So I'm thinking that there is some corruption going on from the inside, but like you said, I don't think it's coming from Baroque Works, and I think that's where I was confused, as I was trying to make the link between them and Baroque Works, but ultimately, I think you're right. I think they have their own intentions, but I don't think that it's related to Baroque Works as an organization. I don't think they're Baroque Works agents, but I still think that they're sussy, and that they have intentions that are bad.
Counter.
Yeah. So I'm still keeping an eye on them, on both of them. As we see Koza riding a horse, we start a new flashback, which sort of explains the progress of the drought and, what the kingdom is facing, and Koza confronting the king about it. We learn that the king does have access to the dance powder, but that he doesn't want to use it for fear of further misfortune. I do love, and I don't know, again, we talked about how misled Koza might be in his cause, and how, regardless of his intention, the way that he is aiming to take action might not be that good a thing. But I love the middle panel of page 9 when he says, he's staring at Cobra with so much intensity, and he says, I'll be back for the rain, before we come back to present time. Like, that was just a good panel. Let's be honest.
Absolutely agree.
And then, in my notes, I'm like, the king wants to sacrifice a whole city and burn it to the ground? What the fuck? This can't be true. And then I'm like, and honestly, he doesn't even look like himself. For example, bottom of page 12. I knew. I could smell it. I could smell it. And I said, it's sus. And then, Koza's monologue. Again, we talked about his intent. I still think that in some ways, he's justified in what he wants to do, but he's not justified in the way that he wants to go about it. But still very powerful, only for him to get shot. And then, bottom of page 16, it's Mr. 2. Look at his fucking face. That middle bottom panel of page 16. No, that's just 16,
what the king looks like.
When the mask slips out.
I love that cartoony caricature shot of the king, like to see all of his traits kind of like twisted, and like that was just a good drawing that really displays, like Dylan says, the mask slipping and the reveal, so to speak. And obviously people were unable to find the king. He randomly shows up in Nanohana, guns a-blazing, like 100% is then confirmed in the next couple of pages. It's Mr. 2 having copied the king and went in there to fuck shit up. And it was gonna work. It kind of worked. Yeah, and then the two shots of Koza at the bottom of page 16 and the top of page 17 when he says, the whole country's been wanting you to declare your innocence. That's why we rebelled. At least I did. I have a lot of like sad admiration for Koza. And it comes back I feel like I can feel the ache and the despair and the need to see things change because he so wants his fellow men to survive and thrive and be happy and prosperous. It seems like an impossible task, and now he's grasping at anything he can to try to achieve that, and it comes at the cost of maybe having some kind of forethought and understanding of the situation and the scale of things, and that he can't just rush in and do whatever immediately feels like it's going to be useful. He needs to give it more thought, and he hasn't done that. But I like him as a character. I think he's an interesting character. I think he's a nuanced character, and I feel like the comparison that I made earlier about him and Boromir, it's I think it's pretty accurate, if I do say so myself.
As someone who's not seen Lord of the Rings as much as you guys, do you feel Boromir has that kind of sympathy to it? Like, can you see things from Boromir's eyes?
Oh, he's a tragic hero.
More and more. I feel Boromir is this kind of character that when I first read and saw The Lord of the Rings as a teenager, I was like, man, he's a fucking dick. And then as I've grown older, I can understand where he's coming from. And I can understand the nuance.
100%. Yeah. When he realizes, like when Frodo tries to escape, and it's like, just come back, and so the anger and the influence disappears, and he is ashamed.
Similar things can be said about both characters in that they would take action for things. They would take actions that might not be noble for things that they believe are noble, even though in the grand scheme of things it might not be. And I feel like Koza is kind of showing that a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Lord of the Rings tangent. And then, yeah, we talked about it, but the ship crashing into the harbor, we have a couple super epic visual shots, especially to me, the top of page 18, when you see, like, Mr. One and Miss Doublefinger walking through the streets with, like, the ship just crashing into the background. So good. And then
she got them hips on her, though.
Oh, she's hot. I've been attracted to her since she was, like, what's her name? Pola?
Yeah, and she had the bandana on. She lets it out. She lets her curly hair fly.
Bro. I was going to say I'm not a simp, and then I was like, girl, have you heard yourself talk about Zorro?
Yeah. A little not self-confidence.
I just happened to be a simp for a broad variety of characters and genders and whatnot, and Miss Doublefinger certainly does that. She can put her... No, never mind. I'm not going to say it.
Oh, God. Brother V.
Anyway.
Oh, definition down bad? What?
Anyway. And then, yeah, the rest of Baroque Works floods into Nanohana as Operation Utopia actually begins. And to me, that is exactly what that ship coming into the harbor signifies, is it's on. It's happening. Like, this is it, guys. But yeah, great chapter. Honestly, I feel like 70 onwards is just a series of fantastic chapters in a broader, amazing volume.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I had for 171.
All right, so mine should be quick. We're clearly building some suspense. We're doing something that Koza is clearly going to have to respond to. I think it's our first impression. Like, this is Royalists versus the Rebels. This is not necessarily Straw Hat type of stuff that they have to deal with directly. And then the mini flashback I thought was good. I really liked the top of page 9, where the king says, "You haven't changed." Oh, yes, I have. It's very much an elder who feels they know someone, and then a younger person who feels like they know themselves better than anyone else can ever tell them. Someone who's not ready to listen to anything else. And I just thought it was really well done. I like the interactions between the king and Cobra throughout that little flashback. It was very good. Rebellions are not done by the elderly. You're not going to see a middle-aged rebellion. No. It has to be spearheaded by someone with youth and vitality. Not saying that Cobra doesn't have that or that elders do not, but that's just the way life is. And then I wrote, oh shit, Baroque Works is moving. You know, as soon as you see the funny expression on Cobra on 16, you know that this is popping off. Like, this is Utopia.
Yeah.
Utopia is happening now. And I especially enjoyed that panel at the top of 18 with Miss Doublefinger and Mr. One.
It's so good.
Just walking away. It's so good. It's so intense. It's so action-packed. But yeah, overall, I thought this chapter was a good example of tension built right. I don't think... I wouldn't say I was surprised by a lot of it. I knew at some point we were going to see Mr. Chu impersonate someone of importance. The king makes perfect sense. And it doesn't matter if I expected it. It was executed so well.
I just have
It was interesting.
A really quick note that I'm noticing. So since we did the East Blue recap, I've been paying more attention to panels that I find really striking. And I'm noticing right now that out of the handful of panels that I've saved as potential favorites of mine, a lot of them happen over pages 18 and 19.
Yeah. Oh, Oda knows how to wrap up a chapter.
Yeah.
Sometimes the middle may kind of just be something to get through. Sometimes the beginning is not super exciting.
Right now, out of 6, 4 of the ones that I've selected as potential favorites are page 18 or 19.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely agree. Good call out.
My favorite's still the Foot interrupting the monologue.
Dylan, I appreciate you sticking to your guns. But, yeah, I just want to give a quick shout out to the ship crashing into the harbor. Very epic. Dare I say it gave me 9/11 vibes? Is that...
I don't know. I'm not American. I have no place to talk about that, but...
Fucking Luffy answers a phone call. They hit the Pentagon.
They hit Nanohana. Huh? But, yeah, that's what I had for 171. 172's V.
Chapter starts off with a nice shot of the ship having now crashed into the harbor, tying back to the events that happened right at the end of the previous chapter. And here I have notes. I said, okay, but why is Miss Doublefinger seducing me with that strappy bodysuit? Please.
You fucking got me.
Like, top of page 3? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Whatever you say, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Yep. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. As
that outfit.
Also, it's the straps. Oh. Anyway, sorry, I was just thinking maybe I could get one of those for myself. My brain is just going in directions. Let me get back to the topic at hand, which is reading this manga. Yeah, so at page 4, I had hope there for a second when the kid realizes that they were tricked and tried to run off to tell the others, but quickly Miss Doublefinger and Mr. One stop him in his track. And even worse, at page 6, we find out that he's been pretty severely injured and is unable to communicate his thoughts out loud. And that was honestly a little bit heartbreaking to me. I don't know if it's because it was a child, but I was like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. It felt like, I know that from their perspective, he was going to talk, and so therefore they had to deal with him. But I'm like, you don't do that to a child. I don't care. You don't do that to anyone, but especially not to a child. Meanwhile, there's like an absolute frenzy around him, and it seems like, I don't know if he dies. It feels pretty final, especially the top panel and the bottom right panel of page 7. Like, you see him, like, his mouth open, his body kind of slumped, and I'm like, this is a child death. If it is an actual death, like, that's pretty grim. Because, like, you know, just trying to estimate his age, he's probably no older than Koza was in the flashback, so I want to say 8 or 9. Right. Like, this is a young child. So I found that a little sad. Speaking of page 7... the middle panel of that page is also really... Is that page 7? Yeah, the middle panel of page 7, where you see Koza, when he says, "It's time to bring this kingdom down." That was a really nicely drawn panel. Nice shot of Koza's face. But, oh man, page 9 is an S-tier page. Everything about
agreed.
page 9 screams of it screams of despair, it screams of courage and boldness. Like it's
a civilization
Boldness
pushed
in
to
the
the brink.
face of despair. Yeah.
It's giving a little like Les Mis. Like just an uprising. It's giving revolution, right? It's giving
It's nailing revolution.
Right. It's like we're done. We've had enough and we can no longer take the tyranny and we're going to do something about it. And I thought it was a wonderful, wonderful shot with, Koza's fist up in the air and the hundreds of people supporting him. It's time for the king to pay for his crimes. And I know that ultimately it is misled, but it's still very powerful in terms of a panel. And then it's kind of met by kind of the equivalent demonstration that happens in Alubarna with Chaka leading the King's Guard to meet the rebellion head on. So this is the conflict ramping up to like we're at a
point of no return.
No, like this is it. This is the I'm missing the expression, like not the boiling point, but like
something French probably, right?
Something French probably.
Denouement?
No, denouement would be more like when
Piece de
you're
resistance.
ending the action. But it's very intense and it conveys the fact that we've reached a fever pitch and like this is it. This is where everyone's energy is going and this is where we, like you said, the point of no return. What we witness as we cut back to Rain Base is honestly super sinister. It sets in that everything is happening exactly as Crocodile had intended it to, and that the citizens of the kingdom are, in essence, killing each other off. It's a civil war, where everyone was manipulated into hating each other for the benefit of who is in charge. And right now, the person that is in charge is Crocodile.
Yeah, it's not the king.
No,
it's not Koza.
No, they think that they have some sort of agency over what's happening, but in fact, they are being played like pawns on a chessboard. And Crocodile is the one that is playing. I have to say also, like, it's sad how closely these themes and these conflicts resonate with things that we have witnessed in real life, in the present and in the past. Art imitates life and life imitates art, sadly. But I do have an appreciation for Oda for not shying away from bringing up these more sensitive topics. And we've talked about this previously also, like with Belmer, with Nami's captivity at Arlong Park. Like he's done a good job at talking about very difficult things, but bringing them up in a way that's digestible. And that also helps, I think in some ways it maybe helps a younger audience grasp these concepts that are big, that they're really big questions. They're big, intense themes. And I feel like it's not necessarily a bad thing to expose younger people to these things in a format that they can relate to.
Yeah, and I think that leans itself into our questions about his use of death and life. Like, we might not like it as adults who want something a little bit, with a bit more bite to it. But I think it does open up certain avenues for people who are not perhaps ready to be exposed to certain things. Like, again, I want every death to be a death and to have
shots in your core.
Yeah, I want to be shaken, but that's not necessarily how this needs to be. Yeah. And I have trouble reconciling those two sides. But,
I can understand that. I guess my only worry with that is that when a real important death happens, I want it to be meaningful. And the whole thing with the giants, was it really that meaningful in the grand scheme of things? They were side characters. Okay, we got to know them over a couple of volumes, and it was, they made it kind of into a sob story. But ultimately, it wasn't that meaningful in terms of how attached we've grown with these characters.
To the people that matter.
Right. But when or if it does happen to some of those characters that we have grown to really love. I want it to be meaningful, and I don't want it to be cheap. And that's the line that I feel like we're towing on, that I'm afraid. Like I don't want Zoro to die 5 times. If he's gonna die, I want him to die for real once, and I want to cry about it for hours, but I want it to matter. I hope he doesn't, but I'm giving him as an example because he's my favorite Straw Hat right now. But yeah, I'm done ranting.
I think it was a good rant. I think it was, you touched on some important stuff that, there are devastating moments without that finality of death. And I agree 100%.
Yeah. I think my issue is we've had those moments and then had it like thrown back in our face, and that's not the case.
Yeah. Right, but I think the moments themselves more or less land. At least that's what I'm getting from what V's saying.
Yeah. They do, which is why we have the anger. It's like, oh, well, that moment is now ruined.
Yeah, I feel like in the way that he approaches the themes, like, in this case, Civil War, basically, I think he does do it pretty well. And ultimately, just given the size of One Piece, it's going to end up being resolved. I'm not sure how, but it will end up being resolved. They're not all going to die. This is the end of it. We know it's going to end somehow. But he still manages.
They all do die, and Luffy's just reincarnated.
Right?
God, they found out.
But in the way that he approaches it in the immediate, it is meaningful. How realistic that is, I'm not sure, but he does manage to drive the point forward, which I appreciate. I did just want to point out, middle of page 15, Crocodile says, "Listen carefully and you can hear the death rattle of Alabasta."
Ooh, yeah. That's a good line with the follow-up panels. That's a really good line.
Ooh, and then then you see Koza, you see Chaka, and then you see Vivi crying. How could you do such a thing? It's inhuman. Like, he is ruthless. And I think that's really what drove, for me, the point that I was making earlier about him being absolutely in charge of what's going on, and him having been calculated and intentional in every single step of the way. He's played them all. And then, over pages 16 and 17, Crocodile goes into his strategy. And this did give me a little bit of the long con vibes I was getting from Kuro back in Syrup Village. But in this case, he's meaning to destroy a whole nation and not just one girl's life or a small village. You know?
I'm trying to steal enough money to retire, but this guy's like,
and that kind of goes to right. It kind of goes to what we were talking earlier about how Kuro and Crocodile have similar traits. It's just Crocodile's just this much more expanded version, more what's the word I'm looking for?
In-depth? Dynamic?
No.
That's one we use all the time, so.
Like expanded for like it's so much broader of a scope
Obtuse?
than
No.
than what Kuro was going for. And then I just shout out to just the way that the last few chapters have ended. They've consistently ended in immaculate ways. So Crocodile inviting Vivi to join him in Alabarna, then throwing the key to the cage in the trap was a fucking alpha move. Freaking, like, what if... I don't have words. Like, I don't have any... It's like any insult I can come up with doesn't feel sufficient enough to capture how detestable he is.
Butt mouth.
You cotton-handed ninny muggins. Anyway, like, freaking alpha move. And I hate that he's low-key so cool. He's so cool, but he's
hard to hate.
Yet he's completely detestable. Like, he has no redeeming qualities other than how cool he is. You know what I mean? Like, Absolutely. This guy's a fucking psycho tyrant, but he has a really cool fur coat. That's what I had for chapter 172. I just want to give a little bit of a shout out, bottom of page 20, where you see like the flashback to Miss All Sunday with her her arms.
Oh,
Her
yeah,
several
just bring
arms
that back.
flailing.
Arms.
Reminding us how creepy her power is. Yeah, that's it.
Hell yeah. And then cover page 172. This is where we see Colby, Helmeppo, and Garp.
Let's see.
Oh.
Now Django is a Marine,
yeah, sure
and
enough.
they're basically demoted to chore boys. Dance of the Peon Pals.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I think it is them.
Helmeppo.
Oh my
100%
god.
is them.
And Garp
There's
in
no
the
doubt.
back.
Yeah.
Garp's walking with them. They just came back from
And they're
training.
doing a musical number with their mops.
They walking right through it.
Well, damn. Good eye, Dylan.
Garp's like, don't worry about Camelot. This is a silly place.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Monty Python.
Yes.
Yes.
And then we get Miss Swish Swish, strutting her stuff.
Yeah, she is.
But I love the fact that, like, the kid saw it. Because you see that and it's like, oh, wait, no, he knows. He can go tell, what's his name, the soul-crushing defeat that he runs into.
Yeah.
Mr. One and what's-her-face.
Double finger.
Yeah, that's it. Let me check for that. And then, just based on what we've seen before, I'm going to assume the child is not dead. And plus, what we've seen is just he's beaten up, so he probably succumbed to shock and passed out. Because we've seen that facial expression of people passed out before at the bottom of 7. Like the completely whited out eyes and like the puff of exhaustion behind them. But, abusing children is a good way to stir people up, makes them angry. I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying, don't.
It's a good plot point.
Don't abuse children. But like you said, V, the bottom of 9. And the thing is, like, that's probably not the whole rebel army. It's probably a couple rebels, and then the rest of the population of the city that saw what happened. And I was like, nah, fuck this, let's go. And the city's like, yeah, fuck them. Might be a bit of a dark take, but like how like war propaganda works. Like when you think U.S. military in Iraq, Afghanistan, mishaps happen, all it takes is one little slip up, and it completely and totally inflames the local population against the other force. And like
one person can make the wrong move.
He's just a scared dude out of boot camp. Like gets jumpy, shoots, and injures somebody that shouldn't have been injured. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's just.
No, I get what you're saying.
Well, it's even like the Boston Massacre. Where it's like that's all it was. It's like the population was already riled up, throwing rocks and shit, being all agitated, and then you got a jumpy dude who's not used to this, who's probably private. He's all caught up. He's scared as shit. And all this is...
When you said Boston Massacre, I was thinking the marathon bombing.
No,
yes,
like the
Revolutionary
historical
War
Boston
thing, yeah.
Massacre. Yeah. No, that was a terrorist attack. This might have been just an unfortunate mishap. But it's like you caught up. It's like humans are humans, and a scared human is going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like the reason he's able to get this whole city up in arms is because all of a sudden they've been matched with this terror, and they're all fucking frightened, and then it's like, nope. I know you're scared, but we have to fight.
I'm scared too, like he said in the previous
Exactly.
chapter.
It's not. They're not doing that for fun. No one's happy about this, but it's a necessity.
Yeah, it's like any time where like countrymen are fighting countrymen, shit's just devolved to such a chaotic state. And it's super unfortunate. I think still to this day, the Civil War was the greatest loss of American lives in any kind of combat scenario, just because it was Americans fighting Americans.
Right.
So every death was an American death. And it's like
The
in
call
those
is coming from
situations,
inside the house.
yeah.
Or like even just going outside of the U.S., like the genocide in Rwanda was also
Yeah. There's several examples.
terrible.
And it's a goddamn tragedy every single time.
Yeah.
If cooler heads could prevail, but unfortunately that usually never happens. But middle of 10, when he's like, King Cobra would never do such a thing, there must be some mistake. This is making more think, it's like, okay, he's not sinisterly working against Albasta. He has been played, and the wool has been pulled over his eyes. So Mr. 2 has been telling him shit as Cobra, and he's like, that's what the king says, like, I gotta follow the king.
That is a redeeming moment. Yeah, I would say that it seems genuine, for sure.
Yeah, because, like, every time, like, well, he's saying it out loud, which could also be like, all right, he's putting on an act. But he's had a couple, like, thought bubble moments where it's, like, a little bit of doubt where it's like, oh, I can't do anything. If the king gets hurt, I can't do anything. Like, without the king, I can't act. Which makes it like, okay, he's loyal. It's just his loyalty is blinding him to the fact that Mr. 2 is saying shit that Cobra would never say. But he's just taking the face value of, oh, the king said it. I have to do it. So I think at this point, before I was like, no, he's a sinister individual. Now I think he's just an unwitting pawn. because he does exactly what they want. I was like, damn, the king's not here. There's nothing I can do. It's like, well, the king's not here. There's a decree I have to stick to, and that's defend the capital. So we'll meet the rebel emir head on. Even though well before that, the king was like, no, a frontal engagement with the rebel army is the last thing that I want. What we need to do is take out the influence, which I think is a character flaw. I will say that's a character flaw of him. He's fucking up. It's like the king has already told him, it's like, no, I don't want you to fight the rebels. We don't fight the rebels. If anything, just give up ground until we can solve the issue. Because the last thing we need to do is kill our own citizens.
Idealistic.
Yeah, very idealistic. I mean, honestly, as a government, if you're dealing with a rebellion, the best thing is stomp, stomp, stomp. Get that shit done and over with. But there's issues with it, morality issues. Oh, and the thing is, like, it's not even he wants to just defend the town. It sounds like he wants to go out and meet them in the field. It's like, if you're fighting from the town, you can just hold up, just hunker down and just take, like, a lot less casualties holding a position. Whereas when you go into the field to meet an enemy, it's like you're fully exposed. A lot of people are going to die. Whereas if you're just holding a town, not really throwing shots back, and you just kind of hang out, just not let anybody invade. And the sinisterness of it, like, the bottom of 14 is where it starts. It's just the maniacal laughter that goes through, like, 3 sets of panels.
Yeah.
Just like, because it's like, what we've seen of Crocodile. He's not a man of mirth and laughter, but he's just uncontrollably laughing his ass off.
It's fucking unhinged.
To, like, a page and a half.
He's stoked.
Where he's just like, my plan worked. It's like, I knew it was going to work, but damn, this is too easy. And the line, the death rattle of Albasta, and it cuts to defend Albasta from both sides of the conflict. It's like, these are both people caught up in their ideals, and their ideals will force them to fight to the last man, which is exactly what I want. Because it's a lot easier to defeat two armies after they've ravaged each other.
Crocodile's eating good.
Fucking evil man, but he knows what he's doing. And the tidbit where it's like, middle of 16, I had to overcome a great many obstacles to get to this point. I had to find the right people. I had to raise enough money to buy the silver needed to manufacture the dance powder. Where it's not even just like, oh, dance powder is a good idea, I'll go buy it. And it's like, no, dance powder is a good idea, I'm going to make it. Mm-hmm. Just in that level of it. And then I had to orchestrate acts of sabotage in order to destroy conquering towns. Spreading rumors that the king's army had done wrongs to villages and everything. It's like the fact that he's got his fingers in such of like the fabric of the governance that he's able to sway the people as much as he can. It's just ridiculous.
It's clear that this is not like the beginning of his.
No, he's been
working on this.
Right.
Yeah, this plan's probably been in place for like a decade. We thought, was it Kuru? No, not Kuru. Kaho? Whatever his fuck's name is.
Kuro.
Getting there.
It's okay, Dylan. They're all like similar. Like Kuru and Kuro, admittedly, are similar words.
But yeah, it's like makes you think. It's like this plan has probably been like in a decade of effect, at least. Whereas the other one is like he's been putting on this charade for like 3 years. Where it's like, no, I've spent decades putting this plan together.
Well, that's what it feels like because
which really ties into the whole Palpatine.
If you're thinking back to the flashback where Koza first confronts the king as an adult, I'm trying to think how long has it been since then? Yeah. And then you have to say, like, it's building on that, right? So yeah, I would say
because the dance powder came before then,
for sure.
And then the jumping really hard head, like just these are the choices you have. What's more important? You can either here's the key. You can risk trying to fight off my gators to free your friends, or you have just enough time to get there before the battle starts to stop it.
Yeah.
What's more important, your friends, your father, or the kingdom? Choose. Tosses the key in the gator pit. And assumedly just walks the fuck out. Again, amazing. That's all I got in this chapter, but fucking amazing. It's been all killer, no filler so far.
Yeah, 100%. That's a great way to put it.
The ship crashing into the harbor is a great way to just set everything up here. This is a great way to start things up. And then Miss Doublefinger just swagging her fucking booty in. Oh, ma'am. I would do anything for her.
Ma'am. Listen, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, the whole chaos of this is just done so well. I mean, god damn. So the one nit I will pick here is that the kid was speaking their plan. He told them everything they really needed to know that could have changed the course of everything, but no one was listening to the child.
Well, wait.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit you with a correction. That's all thought bubbles.
Yeah, there's
all exactly, that is thought bubbles. It's not actually talking.
He's thinking that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing
I thought he was saying...
he says no out loud, and then the rest is, no, you've got it all wrong. We've all been tricked. Those are all thought bubbles.
Okay. So I read that as speech, but I guess if it was an internal thing, that makes a little bit more sense. Even if he did get it all out and they just ignored him, I don't know necessarily that I would have held.
Taken him, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I would have held that to a huge amount. But the Rebel rally and the Royalist rally, what a great combination of panels to just let you know that things are past the point of no return, are beyond what reasonable minds can handle. I mean,
yeah, it's like there was a chance of de-escalation, but that's gone now.
Yeah. It's gone. Gone. And then we're back at Rain Base. And I don't think a ton of significance happens at Rain Base. I mean, of course, we get to see Vivi trying her damnedest, which I'm a big Vivi fan. I think that she is a strong character. Yeah. I think that she tries so hard and she is just doing her best. She has her weaknesses. She is not a strong fighter, but she knows that there's something that needs to be done. She has to do everything
so much heart.
She can.
Yeah.
Heart. Yes, thank you. Yeah, she's all heart, no muscle, but she's doing her best. And then, Crocodile just taking the key and just tossing it. Such a villain move. At first, I was like, well, why even have a key? Why not just take it with you? But as we'll soon shall see, this was actually a little bit better than something you would expect from a Bond villain because, spoiler alert, skip this if you don't want, but it's not even the real key. It's not even the real key. Yeah. This was such a good chapter, and it had so much to like, especially the Rebels and Royalists kind of showing their colors. That kind of made me feel the most emotion, just seeing them ready to kill each other. The chaos has begun, and it will only be continued from here. But yeah, that's what I had on 172. 173 will be Dylan.
All right, and then we see the two armies squaring off. The Royal Army's giving me a little Helm's Deep vibes. Kind of like when the orcs are rushing in to attack the elves, and the elves do like the cool... Or maybe Helm's Deep did it too, but man, we've been on a Lord of the Rings kick this time.
I think this chapter really lends itself well to that.
It does, right. Well, it's a, big confrontation between factions, and yeah.
There's no one ring, but could you guys see a comparison of Sauron to Crocodile? I feel like Crocodile's more human than Sauron could ever be.
I mean, kind of same goals where he wants to take over all the land, but like Crocodile is definitely more Palpatine vibes. Whereas like there's an existing government, I'm going to manipulate it to the way to where I could become the leader of this new empire. Right. But then like Crocodile's kind of like, all right, well, you got 8 hours before they clash. So here are your choices. You either save your friends or you save the kingdom. Well, what's more important? And then one of the Gators eats the key, which again, you've mentioned, fake key, doesn't matter. But then like the group's kind of like, after the thing causes Swelsky, it's like, go after, make it spit it up. And she's like, they eat sea monsters. Like, remember all those things you saw that one time where you were super scared? These guys eat those. And then the shot at the bottom of like 5, where it's like, oh, go after it. It's like, it's not one, it's like shitloads of them. There's a lot. You see at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 7 of them in that shot. Which I also love the whole like Lake Aquarium vibe you get from this little layer. It's like so cool. I love that aesthetic.
Can you imagine what it takes to keep these things fucking fed?
I mean, it's a casino. They got money.
And patrons,
Yeah, that's the thing. Anyone who's like a deadbeat and cheating, there you go. Free food.
You owe the casino something?
We don't want your money.
It takes about like $8.5 billion to feed these guys a day, so that debt,
It cost us less to feed you to these gators than it would to collect the debt.
And also, and this is like the Dr. Evil vibes when it's just like, well, here's the thing, you don't have much time because I use this as the secret leader of Baroque Works. No longer need it, so I'm going to flood the shit out of it and it'll never be used again.
Yeah.
So let's erase all the evidence. On the line, like the bottom of 7. The thing where it's like, you make your choice, but you'll be lucky to save anyone. You have to decide who to bet on. Do you like gambling? Like, he's got a lot of really good lines in this chapter.
A true Sophie's choice, if you will.
Well, it's like the, what is it, the tram dilemma question?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you can either choose to save
exactly
these 4 people that you know and love, or you could save
the trolley problem.
That's it.
Trolley problem.
Who do you decide to bet on? On the line, this country made my work easy because it's populated by idiots. And then you get the line, it's like, even the idiot from Yuba. And they're like, wait, you know the old man? It's like, yeah, I do. It's like, he digs on no matter how many fucking sandstorms I throw at him. And they're like, oh, shit.
You guys speculated that those might not be natural. I think both of you did.
I think V was the one who brought it up, and I was like, ooh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And then he kind of demonstrates the fact that it's like, yeah, that was totally me. Like, I did that shit. It was pretty funny.
Totally me, bruh.
And the line, did you really think it's natural that sandstorms hit the same town over and over like that? And then they walk out and it starts to flood. And Vivi looks like she's getting ready to attack, but, like, restrains herself?
Well, she starts thinking about attacking.
She's like, yeah. She has a little inner dialogue. And, like, the self-satisfied smirk of Crocodile walking away at the bottom of that page. And 13, they're like, get us out of here. And then Crocodile's laughing at him. It's like, oh, begging for your life, huh? It's like, of course, everyone fears death. And then Luffy, like, smacks back immediately with the line, if we die here, who's going to kick his butt?
Say ass.
Oh, God. And ass would have fit way better there.
Yeah, but it's Luffy. He says butt.
Yeah. Well, I think it's Oda. So they say butt.
Oda definitely cusses. I think we've encountered
like
more
one
than
or two. It's
cuss
not
words.
They don't pepper in like us Americans do. Like we think they're sentence enhancers. But I love it's like, don't be so full of yourself, fish bait, and then fucking Luffy snapping back again. Oh yeah, you're the ones who's a minnow. It's like you're trapped in a cage you can't get out of because of devil fruit powers, and it's flooding. You can't swim. Oh god! And just the perspective shot of 15 of 20 gives you a good show of the size of these gators. When it's coming up to their level, you see Crocodile and Miss All Sunday.
Yeah.
And that's just its fucking jaw. And it dwarfs them in comparison. And I like Luffy's like absolute fucking confidence in his homies, because that happens and he's immediately like, alright, baby, get his ass, get him. And Usopp's like,
you got this, bitch.
And of course Usopp's like, you're asking the impossible. Oh, Luffy claps back. It's like, you're the one asking the impossible, you fucking idiot. And then the middle of 16, when they look out the windows, and they're like, oh, Jesus Christ. They're all waiting for their turn.
Yeah.
I love that they wait in line.
Yeah, I noted that too.
It's just, that's menacing as shit. And then I'll give Vivi her props. She stands her ground getting ready to fight, and then you get the big chomp, and she's knocked aside.
You cannot underestimate Vivi as far as heart.
No.
She's gonna stand up. She hasn't got the beef to back it up.
Yeah.
But she has friends that do.
And oh god, this might be probably my favorite way to end a fucking chapter.
That was so good.
Bottom 18, ring a call. We get a baby transponder snail. Not for international calls. Hilarious. And it's like he's doing like, hello, can you hear me? I've never used one of these. Hello, can you hear me? Like, what's going on? Can you hear me? It's like, all right, yeah, we can hear you. What's going on? This is Restaurant La Crap. The great. It sets us up so beautifully where it's coming next. Because man, we've been bitching about it for a while. We're getting what we want.
We're getting it.
And in large dose.
Oh yes, and in style.
Yeah.
Oh, so
I
much.
think Oda was even like, who have I not paid attention to for a while? Let's give him a shot.
That guy.
Fuck, it's Sanji.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, like you, Dylan, I liked the intro image story here. Not story, because it's just the intro image with Luffy having fire roasted fish with some kind of animal friend.
Some critters. As he does.
As a big fan of critters myself, I appreciate that. We pick up where we left off, and at page 4 we can see that one of the gators has the key to the cage. Sorry, I'm my dyslexia is showing. And at page 5 he swallows it. At the top of page 6, I had a little bit of a chuckle at the interaction between Luffy and Zoro, where Zoro's like, if we could just open this cage, I'd teach those lizards a lesson. And then Luffy's like, duh, Zoro, we can't get out of this cage because one of them swallowed the key. I know that. Like, as though Zoro wasn't just, like, as if it wasn't just a figure of speech or like, oh, I wish. It's like he takes it so literally, and I just thought that was very fun. That was very Luffy of him.
He's constantly trying to be the voice of reason, but he can't.
No, he can't, because there's always it's as though Luffy is intrusive thoughts personified, and you can't shut them up. He keeps talking.
Been there.
You can't ignore them. And then, yeah, we have Crocodile's little, as Dylan pointed out, Dr. Evil moment when he says that the room will be flooded in 1 hour. But I have to say, when he says, do you like to gamble? That was super sinister. Like, that made me take him seriously. Despite not that it wasn't a serious situation to start with, but the whole, like, the room will be flooded in an hour, to me was, I don't want to say overkill, but I don't know how necessary it was to really, like...
Right.
You know?
That's the James Bond, Dr. Evil like villain. It's such villain.
That was pushed just a little bit too far out of the realm of... It's not to say that that's a bad thing. I mean, it is One Piece. It's a fictional story. But I was like, like that whole... Because usually I'm pretty good at suspending disbelief. But in this case, that kind of broke the illusion for me a little bit. But yeah, when he says, "Do you like to gamble?" That was very sinister. I really enjoyed the shot of Crocodile at the bottom of page 9 as he summons sand in the palm of his hand. Or I'm not sure if he turns himself into sand. I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but I liked that shot. Yeah, with the sand whirling in his palm, and just it feels as though his fur coat is kind of being like pushed back a little bit by the sand twirling in his hand. I know. I thought
his sand powers are very well done, artistically speaking.
Yeah, like
every time.
I've been consistently impressed with his sand powers for sure. Vivi mid page 10 when she says, "I'll kill you." You know, when they realize that it was all his doing and whatever. It's like I can hear the way she says it. I can hear her hissing those words through her gritted teeth, fighting against tears of anger. Like it's so vivid in my mind the way that she says it, and I feel like that's very, very powerful. And as we can see at page 11, what she's going through is fucking terrible. Her friends are begging for their lives, and she knows that she has to do something, but she doesn't know what to do. You know, when you're feeling trapped and torn apart all at once, I feel like people can relate to not similar situations, but to having that feeling of being paralyzed by what the fuck do I do in this situation? Obviously not to the extent of this necessarily, but it evoked something very real for me. At page 14, again, Crocodile with these freaking badass quotes. At page 14 when he says, "Don't be so full of yourself, fish bait." Oh, what a fucking boss. I hate it. And as much as I appreciate Luffy trying to retort with, "Oh yeah, you're the one who's a minnow."
It feels a little like your mom.
Exactly. It just didn't hit quite as hard as Crocodile. Like, he's trying. I appreciate the effort, Luffy, but you're not quite there. Stick to throwing punches. And yeah, as Dylan pointed out, there's a line of banana gators waiting to chow down, and they're hungry. They're hungry enough to eat a stone staircase, turns out. And yeah, the ending of this chapter was excellent. I liked seeing the baby transponder snail. It's kind of like the One Piece equivalent of a cell phone, I guess. And then the zoom on its face as it says, "This is Restaurant Le Crap." And then it's like all of the pieces went like back together.
Even like a crocodile being like, "I recognize that voice."
Right, exactly. Yeah. Like, I've spoken to this person before. And,
hold up.
And, you know, we find out more about it in the next couple of chapters, but that was like a moment of a light bulb moment, like, holy shit, it's Sanji. And we get a little bit of an explanation as to the nature of the transponder snails in the SBS when Oda goes into a little bit more detail about the baby transponder snails, the regular transponder snails, and the black transponder snails. So I thought that was... the timing was good on that explanation because we just met our first baby transponder snail.
Yeah, they're more like walkie-talkies than a true phone system. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I had for 173.
I mean, come on. This is just James Bond at its James Bondiest. I mean, This is One Piece doing James Bond, I feel like, almost. Which is not a bad thing.
No.
I don't think imitating James Bond is ever a bad thing. You know, it has its place in pop culture for a reason. I really like Luffy's misunderstanding of the bananas and the gators. I mean, it's him and cute, Usopp, I'm pretty sure. It was cute. Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it.
No, it's a banana that grows out of a gator. No, it's a gator with a banana on it.
But what if they do start out as bananas and then a gator grows out of it? I don't know. I thought it was an interesting thought.
Better than that, instead of a banana, make it a plantain. And you got gator meat that's also plantain at the same time. Oh my god.
We get a lot of fucking dialogue from Crocodile throughout this. It's classic villain stuff. And then I said, oh shit, Dylan or V, because I couldn't remember who said it. Crocodile was doing the sandstorms, but that man was fucking tormenting that little fucking village. Like, God.
Well, it speaks out the Tota, the fact that it's like, nope, gonna keep digging. It shows it's like, no matter how much you try, you can't break some people's will.
Absolutely. I like that. I like the foreshadowing, the fact that you guys picked up on it, and I, as a longtime reader and fan of One Piece, did not. Kudos to you guys. And then I really loved Vivi's dilemma. I thought this whole volume had a lot of like difficult decisions in it, and I thought that was excellent to see. She really wants to kill Crocodile, but she doesn't know if Luffy and the gang is the path forward, or if saving the nation is the way forward. Because I kind of get it. Like, the nation definitely is strong, but it's so divided. And then, of course, the Straw Hats have proven themselves time and time again to Vivi. She's been there for a minute now. She's seen what they're capable of. And then, wow, what an incredible ending. Restaurant La Crap.
Yeah. Which I will agree with her decision. Was like, oh, I can go and try and tell them all this. It's like, but they're so inflamed. Are they going to believe me?
Yeah.
Probably not. No.
No,
It's going to be another manipulation, and they're not going to buy it. So it's better to like, hey, let's get people who are actually, because even these armies might not be able to handle Crocodile. But these individuals right here probably can. And we have a person who serves the world government, Smoker, with them who has witnessed all this.
Absolutely.
So breaking them out makes more sense because we can have a Navy official being like, no, Crocodile's evil.
I think you're right, Dylan. I think Vivi makes
Bro,
the
Straw
right
Hat
choice,
Smoker.
as we'll see.
Yeah,
Straw Hat Smoker fucking group up. Looking forward to that at some point.
But I understand why it was I understand why it wasn't an easy decision to make.
Yeah,
you're right.
But ultimately, I agree. I think she did make the right decision.
It's easy for the reader to say.
Yeah.
If you put yourself in Vivi's shoes, it's not
Right.
as easy. And then, just to summarize, love this chapter. This is it. Crocodile
balls
is now...
deep.
Yeah, we're balls deep. Crocodile is happening. Vivi is in a position to make a decision to save them. And we're popping off as of Sanji's phone call. I mean...
Oh, yeah.
Clearly there's a power dynamic here, and I can't say at this point exactly who is in the driver's seat, but what an excellent way to end this whole chapter. Spectacular. Crocodile's villainy is maybe a little corny, but it's not a villainy we haven't seen before, and there's a reason that we've seen it before. It's because it's what readers want. It's intense. It gives the reader hope that the protagonist will pull through. It was very classic, I would think.
Yeah.
I don't think it's reinventing the wheel here. And I loved it. And then V will be 174.
Alrighty, 174. I'm so happy that I get to be the one to talk about 174. If I can turn everyone's attention to the intro image here.
Saw that shit coming a mile away.
We see a beautiful piece of art, a masterpiece, if you will, of Zoro.
Absolutely masterpiece.
Bathing in hot springs. And he,
Which is an actual area. There's an area in Japan where...
Right, regardless of what everything I have to say about my thirst for Zoro, he's hot. Whatever, he's attractive. Yeah, he could do terrible things to me. It's fine, but he's also very cute in that moment.
If only had some freckles.
Yeah, well, that's okay. He has everything else. But as Dylan was saying, there's an area in Japan where the monkeys bathe in the hot springs, and that's very reminiscent of that. And I love the scene. It looks like it's snowing outside. He's pouring himself a little drink, and he's wearing his bandana. And I'm like, do I wish I could be in the hot springs with him?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Absolutely.
I do wish I was in that hot spring with him and the monkeys and the little fruit bowl and...
Should be the next Pod fruit vacation as we go to Japan to stay in a traditional onsen.
That's expensive.
It is. But dude, it was so cool to do.
I don't think Michael and I would be allowed in the traditional onsen because we have tattoos.
Well, that's what there's some though. It's
There's
like
some,
you have
right. There's some that
you don't go into the public one, but
Yeah.
like there's a lot of onsens have private outdoor baths for some of their higher end rooms.
Interesting. You guys know way more about this.
Yeah,
than I do.
because tattoos are like a yakuza thing in Japan traditionally,
Yeah,
anyway. So it's still seen
very
as
frowned upon.
Yeah. So unless you can cover your tattoos, there are a lot of onsens where you can't go if you have tattoos. But there are
Is onsen a hot spring?
Yes.
It's like a hot spring inn.
Yeah. Anyway, Zoro bathing in the hot spring. I'm a happy girl. Going into this chapter and not just lingering too much and drooling all over. It's so good with the way that the previous chapter ended, and now like the pieces are falling into place as Crocodile recognizes the voice on the transponder snail, and sure enough, it's Sanji. I did have a moment of like, where the heck has he been? Like, I feel like I completely lost track of him. It's like, for a few chapters, he just flashed out of existence, and now I'm like, oh shit, he's back. I'm like, he's hella back. But
He's so bad.
But I had truthfully a moment where I was like, where was he all this time? Because we went straight into like, the group, and then like the rebellion versus the royal guards and whatnot. So it was a lot going on. And so I guess my brain just wasn't at trying to keep track of where Sanji is. But now we know. The interaction over the telesnail was super interesting to me. I thought it was particularly notable how much storytelling could happen through a phone conversation that isn't actually being drawn. It's implied. Like, for example, you can't see Sanji getting attacked. And I'm going to put that in quotation marks because turns out that that's not really what happens. But you can't see Sanji getting attacked in the middle of page 5, but it's implied because of the text. And I feel like that kind of helps in driving this element of the story anyway, and that because you don't see it, you don't necessarily capture everything, but you still get a kind of a sense of what's going on. So I thought it was kind of fun to bring that kind of difference in storytelling into the story. Yeah, I don't have very many detailed comments other than just Crocodile really is a fucking bastard, isn't he? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
He's really a piece of shit, and I'm like trying to like pinpoint a moment where he shines as being a piece of shit, but he just is a piece of shit through and through as this chapter unfolds.
I mean, at the middle of page 6, I have never seen a bigger smile.
Oh yeah,
on that man.
Oh yeah,
he thinks he has it all figured out.
Yeah, well, because the phone, the phone. The call ends, and then he's like, "Excellent, let's go to the front gate." And he's so happy with himself. And then I guess they do bring up an interesting point about not everyone knowing who Crocodile is, like not having seen him. The whole scene with the banana gator was very dynamic. Some good action shots there with him like trying to chomp down. Vivi's resolve at the bottom of page 15 when she says, "Hang on just a little longer, I'll come back with help, I won't abandon you." And like, I know that she means it with every fiber of her being. And I guess it's a little bit refreshing because there aren't that many characters that I trust as freely and innately as I do Vivi. I know that what she says, she means, and she truly will try her best. And it's not to say that I don't trust the other Straw Hats. It's just I wouldn't trust Usopp with my life. It's not to say that he's a bad person, but but would I trust Vivian with my life? To some extent I would, more than I would Usopp. And then yeah, the page 16 onwards was really fantastic. I loved seeing Crocodile witness the destruction left behind by Mr. Prince. Like, that shot at the middle of page 16 with just the bodies all over the plaza was really good. And I love that he took the bait. I love that.
He's been in such a position of power.
I love that for once he's the one that's taking the bait. He's the one that lets his emotion, I don't want to call it emotion, but he lets something get in the way of the broader picture. And I would say it is emotion. His emotions get in the way.
I think. he wants to be.
He just wants to teach him a lesson.
Everything.
Yeah, exactly. He chases after him just to teach him a lesson, and that's a little bit. It's like hubris, right? That
is hubris. Perfect word.
He
calls him out on his own arrogance.
Yeah, he let his hubris get in the way and cloud his judgment. And that is probably the first real misstep that we see from Crocodile. And it ends up being pretty important and pretty key in how the rest of this volume develops. Yeah, we learn that it was all part of the plan to make the bridge collapse. And sure enough, we get that last page. A fantastic close-up on Sanji wearing glasses, smoking a cigarette with a shit-eating grin on his face. I so love him when he's a badass. Like,
and he is.
The fact that he's like nonchalantly sitting at a slot machine.
Yeah.
But I like that he like, and that's, I think that's, you just said something that resonates with me, Dylan. I like Sanji when he's nonchalant, when he's confident, when he's self-assured. When he's not actively just chasing tail.
Which is why, like, I'm starting, the more I see of Sanji, the more I'm starting to be like, the whole simp thing is, I believe it, to a bit of it, he does feel that way, but I feel like he purposefully overplays it to put people off guard.
Maybe.
I have to think about that.
Maybe. I feel like to some extent it absolutely is some sort of comic relief. Now, whether or not it's intentional on his part or if it's just Oda providing us with comic relief through it and the character himself actually does
like
take
all
it
the things
seriously.
he portrays during those moments are things he does feel, but I do feel like he's playing it up to a degree. Just so people on the outside looking in and be like, oh, this guy's just a fucking
to not let people like
creep.
see his hand, so to speak. That might be. And honestly, I think regardless, I still appreciate Sanji a lot for what he brings to the Straw Hats.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I just wish there were a bit more moments like this. Then again, if all we had were badass moments, maybe we would be spoiled. But I would still like a bit more than what we currently have.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah. And I have to say, you know, as I pointed out, we have a really, really good close-up of Sanji's face. But just above Vivi's face, when she sees him, and it's like, like her, like, surprise was too good. Like she's not lost anymore. Like she saw her friend. She saw someone that she trusts, and now she's like, I have help now. I have support.
Yeah, it went from like, oh my god, how are we gonna get out of this, to like,
oh my god, there's hope.
Here we go. All right.
Yeah. Like, okay, actually we're getting somewhere. We can actually do this. Yeah, the sense of hope is coming back to her, and you can sort of see it at her, like when you look at her smiling. Again, the middle panels of page 19, when she says, we have to hurry, the rebellion's begun. Like, you can see her face is, like, lighting up. But yeah, this is, like, Sanji redeeming arc moment happening. And it's
about time.
Oh my god. And Sanji's being like, Chopper's leading Crocodile on a wild goose chase. We have to hurry. So show me the way.
Yeah, right. It's Sanji that says that, yeah.
A little bit of simpiness in them, princess.
I mean, but again, she is a princess. That to me, that doesn't come across as being simpy. I think actually this is probably the least simpy he's been with her in the way that he addresses her, because he's like, because now it's serious. I think now they're coming down to like brass tacks. I don't know what the expressions are. Like it's the like the final hour.
They're in the red zone,
and he's
on third
he's
down,
not fucking around anymore. Like, this is it, and he's taking it seriously. And while he's still clearly having a little bit of fun with it, he's like, we're gonna make this bitch happen. And I love that. And that's what I had for 174.
Oh yeah. I do like not for the reason Bees likes it, but the cover image. It's cool because there is like a really famous hot spring in Japan that snow monkeys do just like fucking hang out and just chill in it.
That's their fucking home. They'd just be hanging out there.
Well, it's like, because like a couple of YouTubers I like to watch, like CDLVA abroad in Japan, like have covered that before, and I've seen it, and it's like, oh, well, that's really fucking cool. And then Sanji, like, talking shit over the phone. It's like, restaurant, the crap. It's like, oh, so you do remember. All right, cool. I'm glad to hear that. And I love the fact that, like, Luffy's like, wait, do you hear that? He's like, son? And they're like, stop! You've revealed her hand way too many times. Just, like, let it lie.
No more, Luffy. No more.
And the thing that really grains in, like, Miss All Sunday might stab Crocodile in the back is when she's hearing this interaction, bottom of page 3, rightmost panel, has a thought bubble, just ...
Yeah.
and she smirks.
Okay.
That makes me think that she is not Mr. Crocodile, is who I'm aligned with, but if somebody can take him out, I'm going to switch my allegiance.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a very... there's a lot that happens in that panel for having no speech at all.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like,
yeah.
oh,
I think
Crocodile.
there's something to that.
Yeah, it's like Crocodile's like on his heels at this point. Oh, he's shown weakness.
Well, exactly.
Finally.
She sees that there is a weakness, and she's like, oh.
It's like, finally, about time to wait for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
So, yeah. And who are you? Me? I'm Mr. Prince. Haha, we called that out earlier. It came back. Let's see where you're at right now, Mr. Prince. I can't tell you that. If I did, you'd come and kill me.
Yeah.
Well, and I love the line, well, whether you can kill me or not is debatable, but I'm not fool enough to give out information for free. Unlike you, Mr. Zero. Fucking
Calls him
Mike
out.
Calls him out.
fucking drop on his ass.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, you know how you fucked up and let me know your whole plan? Yeah, you're an idiot.
You fucking thought.
Overconfidence will be your downfall.
Yeah.
And then just like the radio show of like him being assaulted and losing. I air quoted there, listeners. You can't see it, but there was definitely air quotes on that one. And then it's like, okay, they took over. We're at the front gate. And then fucking Crocodile again, maniacal laughter, takes the bait and says, guess I'll go to the front gate. Ah.
You dumb bitch.
And then do like Vivi's like whole reservation of been like, there's still time before the water floods the room. I'm gonna go find help. And I'm like, I'm gonna find people. It's like Sanji's still out there, Chopper's out there, and everybody's realization of that is a good moment. And I love like middle of 13, where it looks like Vivi's about to get like swallowed up. Everybody's calling out to her. And like her inner dialogue, if you guys have always rescued me in the past, I won't let you die.
She knows that this one's on her. She has nothing to do but survive at this point.
Yeah, she nicked the tongue and dodged around him. And again, V, like you mentioned, hang on just a little longer. I'll come back with help. I won't abandon you. Really plays into like Vivi. Like, I do believe, if not for the fact she was the princess of Alabasta, at this point she probably would join the Straw Hats and she would be a crew member.
Yeah.
But she has other obligations that she's honor bound, like duty bound.
Yeah,
to
I don't see her becoming I
don't either.
I think she's certainly going to be an honorary Straw Hat, but I don't think that she's going to actually be part of the...
Yeah, she's a fast friend. But if she wasn't a princess, I think for sure she would have been a crew member.
Okay.
And I love the outside, like, you get to see the outside shot on 16. It's like, what in the world happened here? Adding to those that Pell the Falcon took out, all the millions have been defeated. Millions. Again, I don't think it's actually a million, but still. They're called the millions, and they're all defeated. And again, like, the plan coming together. It's like, what happened here? He called himself Mr. Prince. I thought you captured him. Which way to go? That way. And then sees a mysterious figure running off.
I think it's a good display of Sanji's power. Like you said, pointing out that all of the millions have been wiped out. Like, we forget that he's a fucking powerhouse with those kicks.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
he is strong.
Yeah, he's a strong boy.
The only reason he didn't go off in, like, the Baratier is because there's, like, a hostage scenario going on. It's like, hey, if you step up, we're gonna do this to these people.
The only reason in Little Garden, he wasn't there. The only reason in Whiskey Peak, he was sleeping.
Yeah. And I do love the bottom of 17. I believe, the rightmost panel, I believe this is Miss All Sunday seeing through it. Which is like, why not forget him?
Yeah.
It's like you're like, as they played into your trap, you're playing into theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to what you said earlier about her seeing that weakness and then playing into it, or not necessarily playing into it, but maybe like poking at it a little, you know, like.
It's like, well, the reasonable thing would be to do this. It's like, fuck reason. He made a fool of me. I can't. And like the old bold text of like, silence. No one makes a fool of me, and lives. And it's just like, and then again, like her finally getting like the bridge is collapsed, so everybody's trapped in the casino is really good concept. And then again, Miss Sunday at the bottom of 18. Yeah. Just like that. That look is also like she's thinking. The cogs are turning. I predict this next volume, she's gonna fuck over Crocodile. I would agree. I think pretty hard. Like she's gonna stab Crocodile in the back because it's gonna benefit her. Yeah. But then we get the thing of her running through.
Vivi.
Yeah, they're running through the casino at the top of 19. It's like, oh god, how will I get out of here? And then Sanji just like, maybe we can't get out, but now Baroque Works can't get in.
Yeah.
All according to plan, as he's fucking playing the slots. He's just like, shunk, clack, clack. It's just like, dude, it's like Sanji, this right here is why I like your character. Stop doing the shit that makes me not like your character. This right here is the shit I love you for. This is so good. So show me the way, princess. Fucking amazing end of the chapter. You just know shit's about to fucking go off in the next chapter. But that's all I have.
And what a way for it to go off. So, I think it's really interesting seeing Croc kind of playing off the back foot a little bit. He's been in control for the majority that we've seen him.
And now finally there's a wrench in his plans, and he just fucking immediately...
And maybe it's a small wrench.
But he emotionally reacts to it.
Exactly.
You see him
the hubris
being himself. Yeah, the hubris.
It's like with Karoo, it's like even like when he had a wrench in his plan, he automatically like whatever. Emotionally, just like immediately like knee jerk reaction, and fucking throws his whole shit off because he's acting emotionally instead of reserved.
Yeah. It's so good. And Croc has no info on Sanji. Mr. 2 did not come back with Sanji because Sanji was in the kitchen. He was doing Sanji shit. I think it's really good storytelling. I think it makes sense. I'm not sitting here questioning why Crocodile doesn't have any info on this guy. Why is he able to work freely? Why? Because, he's so logical. He takes the information he has at face value and doesn't really expand on that, and it's so good. And then Mr. Prince popped off. Sanji popped off.
Yeah.
Crocodile's asking for information. He's not giving up anything. He says, "Kill me or not" is debatable. Like, come on.
He's in control now. I'm the captain now. I'm the captain now.
It was so badass. And then, at a certain point, Vivi's trying to escape, and then Croc pulls her down. This is on the top of page 9. Like, I thought you said she was free to go. I thought she was free to choose as she wished. She was maybe going with you. I don't know. Minor critique. Again, I'm at this volume. I have to struggle to pick out critiques. I thought the whole thing was so well put together. I thought she was allowed to leave. The whole thing was good action. It felt dangerous. Everybody felt like they were in danger. Even Sanji, even though he was in the power position, didn't feel like he was out of it, Some great Croc panels at the bottom of page 17 with the dark shadowing and everything. I know we love dark shadowing. I love it too. Yeah. And then, finally, let me just say, Sanji, he can rock a pair of glasses.
I love the glasses on Sanji.
It's not his style. Either way, I loved it. He was at a slot machine. Loved it. And blending right in.
I like how, there was so much emphasis put on how intricately Crocodile planned the whole thing and how it has all been according to plan. And now we get the turn, and Sanji even says, all according to plan. Like freaking checkers while he's playing chess, that whole thing. Like,
yeah. They're playing different games. Yeah. Someone's better at the game they're playing.
Yeah.
And then his cigarette. All I could think of, I went to Atlantic City a couple years ago, and I went there at like 1 p.m. on a Sunday. The slot machines were filled with people who...
chain smoking.
They clearly didn't have a whole lot going on. I assume they didn't have a whole lot going on. They were looking for that next fucking pop on the slot machine.
Yep.
But they were chain smoking the whole time.
Cancer and gambling addiction. My favorite combo.
No, it was a sad scene. I mean, I hope they were retired with plenty of savings to go home to and make, I don't know. But I love a casino. And
well, I kind of got a little bit of those vibes from like the cruise. Like before we left port, there's all the people just sitting in the casino waiting to get into international waters.
Casinos do some bad things to people, but that...
Well, it's just one of those things where you can have a lot of fun, like a lot of genuine fun and have a good night out, but it can also absolutely fucking ruin your life. Like, it's one of those things.
I just can't imagine putting my whole self into that, But yeah, Sanji smoking a cigarette in the casino reminded me of those old ladies just sitting there on Sunday at fucking 1 p.m. But yeah, a great chapter. Exciting, amazing action, and finally, a great Sanji moment. I didn't have a lot to say. I felt like the chapter spoke for itself. It was a payoff for so much of what has come before.
Yeah.
And
we were so due for a good Sanji moment, and now we finally got it.
We're getting it. We're building up to it.
This is what we were set up to.
We've been edging this whole time.
Exactly. We're coming. And yeah, I mean, I think the chapter speaks for itself. That's all I had for 174.
Again, all killer, no fucking filler.
All killer, no filler.
Yeah.
175 will be Dylan.
Yeah, we're gonna cut back into a bit of the chaos of middle of the casino, which I guess you kind of see middle panel in 3. You kind of hear like all the background noise. People are like, oh, hearing some like fights in the background, and then we find out that Chopper's acting as a decoy. I'm finally helping out.
I'm finally pulling my own weight. No, that's the thing. We know that Sanji shows up when he needs to. It's just, he hadn't in a bit. And it's just good. It's just good.
Oh, no, I'm talking about Chopper when he's saying, like, when Chopper's acting decoy.
It's his little thought.
Yeah, he's like, I'm Mr. Prince. He's like, finally.
I mean, you've been here all of a week, tops, if that.
Look
Give
at
yourself
guys,
some time,
I'm
brother.
doing it.
No, but he is doing something.
Also, he's the healer, you know? No one expects much of anything from the healer.
He better fucking heal me.
Yeah.
So it successfully leads Crocodile on a chase, but it's funny because before Crocodile really starts chasing after him specifically, we get that bottom left panel where he's peeking the wrong fucking way again. Fucking stupid brain dead ass reindeer.
I don't see the panel. I don't see him peeking.
Bottom left of 5. It's the guy standing on the opposite side of the corner. You know, the visible one.
Oh,
right.
And it's funny to see too. Freaking Chopper switches back to his little tiny in-between form, and is just easily just walks right past Crocodile. Crocodile has no idea.
He looks terrified.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
well, it's Crocodile.
I'm
it makes
pretty
sense.
Sure he is. Yeah. I would be shaking in my boots if I were confronted. And I'm trying to imagine how tall he is. I imagine Crocodile to be a tall
He's probably
man.
6'5".
He's tall.
Just looking at his stature, he looks to me I think Dylan had 6'4", 6'5", a big man.
He's a big boy.
Shoulders above most people, yeah. And then Smoker kind of gives a bit of background because he's just kind of been sitting back observing the whole time, trying to figure stuff out. And he points out the fact that Smoker, Miss All Sunday, has had a bounty on her head of over 20 years of 70 million berries, which I think that's the highest we've seen so far, is it not?
I don't remember what Crocodile's was off the top
of my head. Crocodile's a warlord of the sea, so...
Oh, he
works for the government.
He did have, I think it was 80 million before he was taken into the fold.
And I guess it kind of makes sense in the theory that Dylan and I have been talking about. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like that piece of information makes me feel like she would be even more inclined to
stab him in the back.
Turn her back on Crocodile.
Especially at this kind of moment where everything's kind of plans coming together, but there is a large amount of chaos thrown into the works.
We know that she has a past, right? She has a history. And I feel like just in the head canon that I've built, that makes her, more likely to be up to no good. Yeah,
and Smoker kind of puts the point across. It's at the time. Ever since they joined forces, there's been a lot more at stake than just the fate of this country. If they're not stopped, the whole world could be in trouble. And of course, Luffy's sitting there pouting and grumbling and moaning. It's like, oh, what do you guys talk about? I don't need any more reasons to kick his butt.
Him and his kicking butt addiction.
Guys, I'm gonna kick Crocodile's butt, guys.
Yeah, fucking his butters. And then I love the panel in the middle of 11 when he's looking down at the water freeze. Oh shit, it's up to my thighs. We're all gonna die.
Yeah, right underneath. He's like, I feel weak.
It's very funny to me how alike Usopp and Luffy are and how different they are at the same time.
In some ways, yeah.
Luffy gets scared, but he doesn't let his fear paralyze him, whereas Usopp gets scared and is completely paralyzed.
Right, but I feel like aside from the cowardice...
their insights are very similar, except for...
They're basically the same, yeah.
Except for Usopp every now and then, hey man, reality, come on. It'd be fun, but that's not the case.
I don't think you'll live to be 10,000,
exactly,
my guy.
Yeah, I'd like
that was
to,
funny.
Don't get me wrong, but...
I don't think that's possible, Luffy.
And then the bottom of 11, you kind of see everyone's the resolve is being pushed to its limits. Usopp and Luffy are starting to freak out. Nami's looking like she's getting a little panicked. And Zello, that's not panic to me. It's more just he's frustrated with himself. He's like, if I trained a little harder, I'd probably be able to get us out of this. We get the line before we turn the page, it's not polite to roar at the dinner table. And then we get this phenomenal 2-page spread of the band Manor's kick course. Sanji just middle of its stomach, and he's got it fully, not up in the air, but the fact that he pulled it up out of the water from kicking when the water's at his thighs.
Yeah, with the resistance?
Yeah, that's a shitload of force.
Also, that's a huge fucking crocodile.
Again, Oda perspective.
Or gator, banana gator, whatever.
He knows to let you know things are big and things are small. And then we can see that, like, based on his kicks, like, his kicks force these things to throw up. Because it barfs up a chunk of the stairs at 8.
If someone kicked me like that in the stomach, I would do more than throw up.
But yeah, I'd probably die.
Yeah, honestly, my guts will be on the outside.
Half of them will go out the bottom entrance, the other half will go out the top.
Like a tube of toothpaste, open at both ends.
Yeah, get a tube of toothpaste, close it real tight, and then smash it with a hammer as hard as you can.
That'd be my fat ass.
And then fucking bottom of 14, I can't help but look at it. Of Luffy, of everyone's surprised looks, Luffy being like, "Oh, poggers!"
It is a pogger's face. Oh my god. Are we like chronically online, guys?
Who is it now?
We're millennials.
Who is it? Well, then Sanji, just being a cold motherfucker, points at him, like ashes a cigarette. So like, you guys been waiting long?
I love his badass moments are absolutely fucking delectable. Unfortunately, so far they're few and far between. But man,
definition of hot and cold.
Because you're yesing or no.
Yeah,
and he's in and he's out.
Yeah.
I like seeing the differences in reaction. Like, you got Usopp and Luffy being like, "Oh my god, Prince!" And of course, Nami's relieved, and Zolo's just like, "Quit fucking around and get us out of here."
The clock is ticking!
Yeah. And then the next page immediately cuts back. "Oh, Nami, do you love me now?" And then Nami was like, yes, love you. All right, let's get the key now, buddy.
I actually love that panel.
It's funny. It's hilarious, but it's also like big eye roll.
The shtick is landing in that panel. The Sanji stick, I think.
Yeah, I have notes on that. Yeah.
But I kind of love this point. Is like, after all that happened, like, Luffy's just like goofy face, like, "Vivi, good work." And then it's just like a palpable...
With a thumbs up?
Yeah, and there's a palpable, like, little panel of silence where I'm like in the back of my mind, and Sanji's like, "Well, what the fuck, dude?"
This is why I don't do stuff.
Yeah, fucking, you guys suck, dude. Let's kill the gator. And then Vivi is just like, "Yeah, thanks." And then Sanji faces down the rest of them because they're piling in now. And this top panel of 17, just like the way he shows the slow raise of the leg, again, Bruce Lee imagery, really fucking hard.
He almost looks like a dancer. It seems graceful, like a dancer's movement would be.
Bruce Lee originally studied Wing Chun, which Wing Chun was considered like a really graceful, flowing, more dance-like kind of type of fighting. And also he danced before he started training.
He was an amazing dancer. Like, Bruce Lee was factually a really good dancer.
Well, that's how I think Bruce Lee eventually met, because he was trained by Ip Man. If you've never seen the Ip Man movies, watch them. Based on a true story. Like, I'm pretty sure they drama up a lot of it, but really cool story. But like, the reason Bruce Lee eventually meets Ip Man is because his wife is they're taking dancing lessons from Bruce.
Huh.
Yeah, very, very interesting stuff. But yeah, Bruce Lee imagery hard as shit. Like, really like that about Sanji when it gets to those points and I get to see that. Just waiting for him to show up in a yellow jumpsuit.
Imagine if he does at some point. That would be so good.
I bet there's art of it somewhere. I bet Oda's done it once or twice. And Smoker's like, I killed the third one that came in. Because I've just been watching and paying attention, absorbing everything. That's the one that swallowed the key. Smoker's whole, like, the way he's acted the whole time of being caught in this scenario, I'm liking this character a lot more. The fact that he's, like, so level-headed, just calm. It's like, all right, I can't solve this problem. You already liked him
beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like he's, he can recognize when, I think there's absolutely a sense of rivalry here between him and the Straw Hats, but there's also, he recognizes that in this moment, what they need to do is stick together, regardless of what came before and what will come after. And he's not above forming
temporary alliances,
an allyship with them. Yeah, for now. And I think ultimately, I think he does respect them to a certain level. So
it's just me the whole time ever since being trapped. It's like, all right, I can't use my devil fruit powers. All right, he's floating it. There's nothing I can do about it until I get out. Let me just sit here and observe. Because at some point, some flaw is going to show up and I need to notice that and be able to exploit it. I like that. Very smart. And then we get the revelation that, well, destroying the bridge was clever, but it doesn't matter anyways because I gave him a fake key. This is the real key. There's no chance of them getting out anyways. And then his ego's kicking it really hard. He's like, but I won't let any of them get away. I'll kill them all with my own hands. And then the fucking, I love it. The whole next page.
Yeah. It's good.
The first panel is just like this shock just drawn in like the super whitewash and all that.
I'm like, he's not, like, you can tell, that Crocodile isn't someone that's easily thrown off. But in this case, it's like, oh shit. Like, he is not standing on 2 level feet anymore. Like, he's like, this did not go according to plan.
I was half expecting, like, based on that reaction, like, before reading the panel, it was like he was going to look down, like, the shot of the scene would show all this stuff, but there'd also be, like, a sword going through his chest because Miss All Sunday stabbed him in the back. She'd see that moment, because for me, that would be that moment. It's like, oh, your plans are not going according to plan. It's time for me to step in, salvage what I can.
I feel like she's going to wait until the very last second, until he's, like, on the verge of losing everything.
And then, like I was saying last episode, when I was like, I ain't calling him dead till I see a goddamn body. It's fucking Mr. 3. I fucking knew it.
I think his being alive makes a little bit of sense. It makes enough sense for me not to.
It does.
I mean, in this very moment, he still looks dead. We learn that he's not, but
I think Dylan's talking about just even seeing him after being thrown into the gator pit.
Right.
Well, because that was done days ago. Like, the understanding was like, oh, he probably should. No,
I think it was done somewhat recently. Maybe my timeline's off.
Because he got eaten before Utopia. Because I think they were covering it, and then he fed him to him before the 17-hour time lapse. And spending that long and something's stomach would definitely.
Yeah,
but
and like
it explains
water
why.
And yeah.
But anyways, that's all I got.
So I had a lot to say. Another really good intro image. Nami is looking absolutely fierce. And Luffy looks both silly as heck and like a badass. I really enjoyed the detail on the, I guess it's a jaguar or a panther. Some kind of big cat. I don't know. I like that. Also, Nami's holding a gun. I feel like Dylan should have expanded on that a little more.
Well, it was a cool looking gun, but...
I just want to make a quick note of Panda Man at the bottom of page 2. There he is. Our friend, Panda Man. Yeah, we get a little bit of a flashback over pages 4 and 5, which explains that Sanji did not actually get beat up as they were talking to him over the phone, but rather quite the opposite. Again, like Dylan mentioned, we come back to Chopper, who was acting as a decoy and luring Crocodile towards him. To me, this is really a moment of like palpable intrigue and a really like intricate plan. Like, they did well. The Straw Hats are smarter than I give them credit for. Like, that was a big brain move.
Together?
Yeah.
Well,
they really do. The conversation at the at the top of page 9, when Usopp explains that the banana gators are not in fact bananas, to me was very funny. Luffy to reply that both bananas and gators are edible. I mean, that's fair.
The only discerning moment or discerning feature.
It's true. They are both edible, but bananas are not gators and gators are not bananas, despite them being called banana gators. And yeah, I thought that when Smoker was talking about how, the fact that if Crocodile and Miss All Sunday aren't stopped, the whole world could be in trouble. Like, they're real bad guys. They're not just, like, I don't know. I was going to give Buggy as an example of not a real bad guy, but I have the impression that he might become more of a bad guy. I don't know, but like, they're real bad
Buggy
guys.
Wants to be worse than he is.
Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point. And then I just had a little bit of a moment at the bottom of page 11 when Zoro says, "If I were a better swordsman, I could shatter this cage." And I was being sad at him being self-critical, but at the same time, I know that that's what drives him. Like, his constant need to be better, to improve, to train, to surpass himself is what makes him such an amazing swordsman. It's just a little sad that he doesn't recognize the fact that he is actually a really good swordsman. It's just, I guess, what he is being faced with is maybe a little bit more than what he's used to. Although I'm sure that he will adapt.
Helpless. I mean, no one does, but him especially.
Yeah. And then, freaking Sanji is back. Sanji's back, baby. And this is the comeback I've been waiting for. This is what I'm fucking talking about. Like, that 2-pager over 12 and 13 is phenomenal. And that's what reminds me of what makes me love Sanji despite all of the cringe moments. Like, this is what makes me tolerate. Not tolerate. It's more than tolerate. It's like, it's because of moments like these, when he is having his cringe moments or his simp moments, I tolerate him in those it
was running a little thin for a minute.
Right, but he absolutely shines in those moments, and I'm happy he's back. I truly am. And I have to say, the next couple of pages are also amazing. I really like seeing the highly contrast panel of him at the top of page 14. Like, just his face at the top of page 14 was really, really good, with like the glasses shining and whatever. And then everyone's faces of amazement and awe at the bottom of page 14, followed by, like, I don't know, the sharpest fucking pose known to man at page 15, with his arm outstretched, and he, like, is he dropping his cigarette or something?
I took it as he was ashing it, because you see it still lit in his hand, like he pointed at him and flicked it.
Like, what a, like, it's so badass. Like, I love it. When Sanji is in full Sanji mode, he makes me love him as much as I love Zoro. It's just Zoro's more consistent across the board. But, oh man, I do love it. I do love it. I did think it was funny that Zoro was like, listen, we're all happy he's here, but we gotta bounce, bro. At the bottom of page 15, as Dylan pointed out. And yeah, we're back to sim mode at the top of page 16. That being said, and kind of Michael sort of alluded to it, it doesn't annoy me as much this time. It's kind of like he's earned it this time around.
That's a great way to put it.
Because he literally just showed the fuck up. And now it's like, okay, yeah, okay, you're back to your little simpish ways, but I'll let it slide this time.
And then Nami's just like, yes, I love you. Now please.
No, please.
Like, you can hear her eyes rolling. It's like, oh god, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we get it over with now? And yeah, as I was saying, when Dylan was having his turn, the top of page 17, as he raises his leg up, ready to bash their heads in. Great shot. And like I was saying, it really reminds me of like a dancer. Like, he seems so fluid, so confident, so strong and powerful in his movement. I was there for it. And like, I liked seeing the way that it's drawn, and that you could see it rise. Even without movement, you can perceive the movement because of the way that it's drawn. And I thought that was clever on Oda's part. And then, yeah, I was going to say something about Smoker figuring out which gator had the key, but turns out that they didn't really need to know. Well, unless... How does that sequence of event go?
They're going to use Mr. Three's power to
recreate exactly.
a key.
Yeah.
Which,
so
that
they
makes
don't
sense to me.
actually need the wax fruit. Yeah.
It'd be a great lockpicking tool, wax powers.
Yeah. But yeah, the shot of Mr. Three's body floating on the water with the cage door open in the distance and the dead gators all over was freaking delightful. And just seeing what's written on his chest. See you later, crap gator. Signed, Mr. Prince. Yummy. Another
I'm not
great
a gator,
chapter.
I'm a crocodile.
Right? Can you imagine? Right. Writes on the note, I'm not a gator, okay? Anyway, that's all I had for 175. Really good chapter.
Yeah, so this should be quick. I liked seeing Chopper have a task to do. You know, I know it's we're very short into his time as a Straw Hat, but he is settling in nicely, and I think that
he's being integrated. They're like, yeah.
Like, hey, we can figure out a place for you, and he nails it perfectly. I mean, his powers were perfectly suited for this. Become like a man, become like a little critter.
Little guy.
Yeah, he's just a little guy, and he is a little guy so well. And I really thought that the Smoker kind of musing on Miss All Sunday and Crocodile's collaboration was really interesting. It really makes the reader think, and clearly the reader has already been thinking as of you guys' thoughts, that there's something more than meets the eye.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just a really interesting way to kind of say, hey, maybe there is something more here.
I wouldn't be surprised if she joined the Straw Hats. I'm not sure in what capacity, but like...
I don't know. I think with what happened with Igaram, there's no way they'd take her on board.
That's fair. But we don't, like Vivi is probably going to stay in Alabasta to rule. So, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to... Like, I understand what you're saying. We'll see.
And then, so I like the 2-pager. I wanted to love it, but there's a lot of detail here. The crocodile scales are drawn, but it felt kind of just like, I don't know. I feel like this could have been done just as well in a single page or just a partial page, something like that. Not to say I didn't like it, but we've had others that just felt more full. They've explained more, they've shown more, what have you.
It's not the best 2-pager that we've gotten, but I feel like as a means to kind of present as Sanji's back, I thought it was still impactful. But
I think it's good as Sanji's back. I mean, there are things to like. I mean, it almost looks like Sanji is serving the crocodile, you know, because he's a chef, and it almost looks like he's holding like a plate almost with his leg and about to present it to your table, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, but still, fuck yeah, let's go Sanji. It was about time we got something like this. And then I absolutely adored the little simp moment. Like V was saying, he earned this. This is the best simp moment I think he's had since he was introduced.
It's probably one of the few simp moments that I'll be like, that's okay. You can have this one.
Yeah. I loved how noodly his body was. Like, he is loose at this moment. He's so happy to see her. She's at least kind of happy, and I do think that Nami loves Sanji, not in a romantic way, and he will never accept that as a possibility, but she loves him as a friend. It is a very healthy platonic relationship, at least on one side of it. And then, I also...
That makes me wonder something. I guess I'm just thinking, how much is romance going to be... How present is it going to be in One Piece, knowing that the target audience isn't one that usually cares for romance? Like, if you're talking about the show, what are the manga for girls card?
I know what you're talking about, but I cannot.
Shoujo, the shoujo. Yeah, so in shoujo manga, romance has a really big part to play in the way that the story is being driven, and in shonen manga, actually, it's a second thought if it's there at all. But I feel like the way that they're setting it up, there could be room for some romance. It has me wondering who it would be and to what capacity. Just me thinking.
Is this
out
rhetorical
loud.
or do you want an answer?
I'm just thinking, unless you want to give me like a hint without actually telling me what's gonna happen.
Nami and Sanji, never gonna happen.
Okay.
If that's what you're thinking. Listen, Nami has standards.
That's not the pairing I had in mind, really, but
that's all I'm gonna give you.
Okay. I'll take it. Thank you. That's all. You may go on.
And then, I don't know if I said this already or not, but it being a fake key really made the villain plot a little bit better. Because when he was tossing the key into the gators, it felt like a very open invitation to save the day and escape and what have you. And again, it's been a long time since I've read this, so I am coming at it with new eyes, kind of. I mean, of course, I know all of the beats, but, it felt very James Bond villain leaving an open route to the end goal, which, again, I just want to put this out there for anyone listening. I don't think there's anything wrong with having those kind of cliched villain plots. We're not reinventing the wheel here. There's a reason James Bond is as popular as it is. There's a reason that those plot points have stuck around for as long as they have. They allow for a good and interesting story. We're not watching a biopic. So and I thought that Crocodile having the real key was fun and it kind of brought it out of that cliche territory a little bit. And as we'll soon see, I do like the way they came out. I have no problem with Mr. 3 surviving the way he did. We'll touch on that more in the next chapter. But overall, I thought this was a absolutely marvelous continuation of what I will call, I am coining now, the Battle of Rain Dinners. Terrible name, but I like it. Love the ending. Croc got absolutely embarrassed here.
Oh, he did.
He absolutely did. And that's what I had for 175. V will get 176.
We're taking us home, baby. Okay, I have to say, the intro image story here displays my least favorite Chopper form. Like, why does he freak me out so much when he looks like that?
It's Hatman.
I think it's his face. It's like his face is too both human and animalistic at the same time. I
Didn't they call that Uncanny Valley? Maybe?
It is Uncanny Valley. It's Uncanny Valley as shit. That's like A special shout out to that one goat on the right hand side that's just staring at us with a mouth.
He's like, "Are you seeing this shit?"
Yeah, right. He's like, "Well, there's a deer man, and he's feeding me, and he's wearing a hat, and he has this exact voice."
If I may counter that with the one on the left, who looks absolutely peaceful, very cutesy.
I know, he looks like
very demure.
He's breathing.
I like the one on the right,
the mountain air.
Kind of like ate it and then looked down and was like, "Huh?" It's like, what the fuck? Is that a dude?
Right? Oh, anyway. It cracked me up. Meanwhile, Chopper freaks me out in that moment. Anyway, moving on. And yeah, so I did feel like Mr. Three's demise was final-ish, but no. He created a wax ball to protect himself from the banana gator's insides. It's to be expected at this point. It is what it is. We'll see. I feel like it's a little bit of a shame that I'm being led into not taking any death seriously, but I guess that's going to be my state of being until this manga decides to rip my heart out and actually give me a real death that matters. It's fine.
Eventually
I'll get over it.
Eventually it will, but it's going to take some time.
I can't wait to get my heart broken. Okay, Sanji at the middle of page 5. Don't jerk me around. Sir, please. Sanji, you're not my favorite, but I would absolutely jerk you around if you asked me. I mean, what?
Pretty much everyone but Usopp, really.
I don't know about Luffy. It's like he has such a...
No, that would be...
It's like he's so
that'd be problematic.
Childish. Yeah. He's so childish. Like, I don't know that he can provide informed consent. You know what I mean? Whereas I know that Sanji and Zoro can. Right. So I again, to me, there's a good use of the page layout to show pacing. Like, at the bottom of page 5, we have Usopp realizing that they can use the wax powers to make a key. And then the beginning of page 6 is like this wide shot of Mr. 3 opening the door, followed by Sanji thanking him, and Mr. 3 saying, "Thanks," with a little heart. Like, I feel like you can see, again, it's very cinematic, just in the way that the pages are drawn. You can see the progression of the action in a way that feels very... I could see this in a movie, basically.
Yeah, it's very cinematic.
The little thanks with the heart I thought was weirdly adorable. I also wanted to give another panel shout out at the middle of page 8. Seeing Vivi pull Usopp out of the water by his nose was hilarious. And I kind of liked seeing a little bit of Zoro on Smoker action at the bottom of page 8. But
God, of course you did.
That's just me. That's just me and all the fan fiction I used to read when I was 18 years old. Not One Piece fan fiction, just other fan fiction. Anyway, we get further explanation at page 10 about how Luffy ordered Zoro to save Smoker, and Zoro obliged without questioning it too much. I like their relationship. I feel like there's devotion and there's a deep understanding there. And Zoro admits it in the middle of page 10 when he says, "You don't owe me anything. It was Captain's orders. I'd have let you drown."
Yeah.
And I feel like there's something very powerful about Zoro not questioning Luffy, but still having the mind to think things through. Like, I don't know how to explain it.
I think he knows Luffy wouldn't ask him to do anything that would push him to his, like, moral
limits.
Dilemma. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, there's a trust and an understanding there of, I'll do what you want me to do because I believe in you. But he does so with a very consciously and very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very intentionally. And, like, he thinks about what he has to do, but he still will try his very best, at least, to follow Luffy's orders. And I don't know, there's something special about that relationship.
I agree. It's one of my favorites.
And it's a little weird because a lot of it goes unsaid. Like, you don't see them sitting down and having a heart-to-heart. It's just a very quiet understanding. It comes super naturally. Like, they don't need to talk about it and question it. It just is. And that's refreshing. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's because, and we've talked about this before, maybe it's because me, as someone that has an anxious attachment style, I feel the need to reiterate and to double check and to make sure that what I do is pleasing to the people around me, but they don't need to do that. And I wish that I could have that with people. Honestly, I think the closest people I have that with is you guys. Oh. That, like, no matter what, I know you'll have my back and vice versa.
Once upon a time, you did double check in with me. You know, you would
once
say,
in a while.
Hey, was A, B, and C okay? But I feel like you have kind of moved past that in some ways, and
right.
I think we do have a mutual understanding. I understand how you and Dylan, for the most part, will act in certain situations.
Yeah.
And I like to think that it's mutual.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think I like to do the occasional check-in, but I know that, like, there's a certainty there. There's, like, I don't need to question my relationship with you guys. And I feel like Zoro and Luffy don't need to question their relationship either. It's implicit. Like, regardless of what happens, we're here for each other. And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And yeah, and Luffy's mercy pays off at pages 12 and 13 when Smoker lets the Straw Hats go without a fight this time, but stating that next time they're dead meat. So finally, at pages 15 and 16, Chopper joins the group again, being able to track them using Nami's perfume, which is very clever. And he's riding a gigantic fucking crab? Apparently they're called crab movers.
And Eyelashes is just chilling.
Right. Don't forget about Eyelashes.
Yeah. It's Eyelash's homie.
Yeah. So at page 17, we find out that Chopper was able to get them this right thanks to Eyelashes. Thanks, bruh. And I knew that camel would come in handy. I knew that he deserved the scritches, even though he would want to spit in my face. That's okay.
He'd probably bite the shit out of you, too.
Yeah, bite you, spit on you, but maybe you kind of like,
Maybe we don't need to talk about my proclivities everywhere. We don't. No, I'm very open about it. You do not need to cut this out. Anyway, the volume ends with a great cliffhanger, with Vivi being grabbed by Crocodile's hook, controlled via sand, and Luffy jumping in. If I'm understanding this correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, he basically saves Vivi, gets her to safety, and stands in front of the hook in her place, with Crocodile pulling him in for an upcoming confrontation. That's what I'm gathering is happening over the next few pages. It's not clear.
I would say he throws her aside and holds on by his own accord.
For me, it's like, I've been itching for this fight. I'm going to go fight. You guys get out of here.
Right, but that's what he tosses her away. He gets in her place, basically, and he's ready for a fight. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, he's dying for this, like Dylan said.
Yeah. And then with a shout, our hero says, "Go on without me. I can handle this." And somehow, I believe him. And yeah, I guess that would be the SBS, but the map and character breakdown at the end did really great in summarizing where we're at in the story and puts just a perfect little bow on the end of this volume. Like, this is it. This is a snapshot of where we're at, what's happening, and what the setting is going to be for the next volume. And I will keep my overall thoughts for later, but that's what I had for 176. Dylan?
Yeah, and then the cover page again, interesting. My big takeaway is knowing a bit of the history of the Appalachians. It's 3 X's usually means potent booze. Not just booze, like moonshine. And it's like,
I think them goats are drunk as fuck.
Yeah.
Maybe the hay has been soaked in moonshine.
Well, I think some farmers do that. Like if there's breweries nearby or distilleries, like after they've made I think it's called the wort, and like they've already used all the grains and stuff, and they've gotten everything they need out of it, they'll sell it to farmers, and farmers will feed it to their livestock. Because it doesn't have any booze in it, it's just...
Oh, okay. I was about to ask if there's still alcohol slicking around in there.
No, because the wort's...
Because that one goat may be fucked up.
That's the psychedelics.
The one on the left? Oh,
I mean...
And then, okay, here we go. All right. And that's not a key, and then... 3 survived. All right. Wow.
Say a little louder, Dylan.
Amazing. He's still alive. Cool. And then, like, he kind of sees, it's like, oh, you guys are locked up? Ha, awesome. And they see Sanji. It's like, you know what? Well, fuck you guys. I don't like you guys. Go get the key. And Sanji's like, all right, well, might not be able to find the key, but I can definitely beat you to death in your current state. So that's what I'm going to do. And Usopp just being just being a little smart boy. So hold on, Sanji, don't kill him yet. We could use his wax powers to make a duplicate key. Which, would you be able to turn a lock with the wax key? No, but the wax key is more like it's been used in old locksmithing, where it's like where you get wax, you put it in there, and it gets to the form of the keyhole, and then you pull it out, make a cast out of it, and make a key out of that cast. Because that is something they have done in the past.
I mean, his wax powers are very strong.
Yeah. Well, that's right, because he does, like, his wax is strong as steel.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's a little different than just, like, creating a candle.
But it's still cool, because, like, I mean, I think that's how they would do it back in the day. It's like, oh, you lost your key? Well, let me put a bunch of, like, wax in here. All right, now it's solid. Let me pull it out. Let's cast the key. And then again, like V said, 6, just the whole, like, nonchalant, like, Sanji's like, okay, well, you heard the man. Open the fucking door. And he's like, oh, okay, here you go. And, like, even though it's from a distance perspective, it's like, I still can, like, pick up a bit of the sense. It's like, Mr. 3's like, oh, okay, just don't hurt me.
He has a lump on his head at that point.
Yeah.
He's already been taught one lesson.
I feel like he's been taught several by the Straw Hats at this point.
Yeah.
And then, like, the thing with Sanji, like, patting him, like, not bad, Candlehead, and where he's like, thanks. It's like, the pat, I'm not taking this as a pat on the back. It's more like, I'm going to push you to, like, the range I need to be so I can kick the ever-living shit out of you. So it's like, oh, you're a little too close for me to kick you in the face. Take a step back. Good job. Wham! And you see him flying across the fucking thing.
I really like him flying across.
Yeah, because the perspective is like, you see it as, like, from the impact of the foot, his face is all smushed. Like that.
They abused the hell out of that man.
Yeah. It's like, oh my god, we gotta go down this passageway. And he's like, oh my god, but it's crawling with banana gators. And you instantly cut to, like, Luffy and fucking Zolo being like, yeah, fuck yeah, we got to fight. Well, Luffy more so. Screaming out, come on, aren't there any more? Because at this point, Luffy's just had to sit there and watch. He hasn't actually gotten a chance to fight. So, you know, he's all cooped up. And then Vivi's like, I couldn't even handle one. And Usopp reassures her, like, it's okay, those two are not normal. Like, that's not the status quo. Like, don't compare yourself to them. Okay, and, like, I didn't know, like, because when the wall broke, it's like, did he set up, like, explosives, like, sink it or something? But it's now, apparently, is Luffy and Zolo went a little too overboard.
Oh, when they broke the wall. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. And just the water rushing in, all the panels, bottom of 7, I like how he really drew that out. And then Sanji, of course, drags Luffy out. Not for the first time.
No, it's not.
And I love his line, sheesh, people with devil fruit powers sure have some rotten weaknesses. And like they're dragging Usopp by the nose, and they're like, what do you think you're doing? Usopp, get up, help us out. And it's like...
That was really funny to me.
He's like, he got smashed in the head by a rock. Like, he's out cold, and he's still being like...
He's not Luffy. He's not Zoro.
He's unconscious, and everyone's like, man, you're so useless. It's like,
yeah.
I'm unconscious, dude. What the fuck am I supposed to do?
Like, previous page, they're like, he hit his head on a rock, and they're like, what the fuck is wrong with this fucking
absolute
dumb?
You gotta get rid of him. And then as soon as Luffy gains through consciousness, it's like, oh, Smoker, you still want to fight? And Usopp's like, dude, it's Smoker. Let's just run away. Every time we've tried to fight him, it's gone poorly. And then I think part of that resolve is kind of what sets Smoker's like, is this kid actually serious? He's like, you know what? Go. Just this once. And also, like, the little detail, I didn't notice it first time looking through it, but now I'm looking back at it. At the bottom of 13, Luffy still has the water Toto gave him.
Where's that?
Bottom of 13. He's got the little barrel on his neck.
Oh, yeah, he does. And he was saying that he was going to, like, safeguard it.
Yeah. Because it's precious to him. You saw the amount of work that went into it. And then as everyone's turning to leave, like, Luffy's like, you know what? I kind of like you. Smoker's like, get the fuck out of here. You say nobody wants you here? And the Marines show up and they're like, oh, they're getting away. We got to chase after them. So, Captain, are you going? He's like, nah, I'm tired. And then Smoker's like, all right, fuck it. Recall the man. We'll catch up with those guys later. So contact HQ. Have every ship in the region set sail for Alabasta. So this is, to me, this is really big. Smoker's like, okay, now I think the Navy's going to intervene and the Navy's going to help Alabasta fight off Crocodile. Of course, when the Marine starts arguing, it's like, what do you think Brass is going to think? And Smoker again, it's like, I don't give a shit what the higher-ups think.
Do you think I care? The way it's written and drawn seems really intense. So, I don't know if you remember, but Crocodile's like, they really do call you Mad Dog, blah, blah, blah. So he seems to me like someone who really kind of goes against the grain.
Yeah.
And now he is having to rely on his connections, his status, his superiors. And he clearly is not someone who plays by the rules, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like he comes across as a little bit of a troublemaker within whatever structure he's a part of. Like he's...
There's like a saying like I've heard of. It's like a couple ones that kind of relate to it. It's like, when you get like a bloodhound on a scent, it's not leaving till it finds the scent, or like when a bulldog gets its teeth into something, it will not let go. That to me is Smoker. Smoker's now sniffed out this higher conspiracy. It was like, I don't give a shit what the brass says, we're dealing with this.
Right.
And then we get to see Chopper show up with the sand mover. That's kind of cool. I do not like its smile.
It looks like he's going to hit on Nami at some point.
Well, that's like the smile. The smile is kind of giving me something like the Attack on Titan vibes, where it's just like this really creepy, like detached, no humanity to it, whatever, like grin of pure delight because it's getting ready to eat somebody. There's just a couple of shots from Attack on Titan that some of the Titans kind of have that look, and it's, especially in that manga sense, it's extremely unsettling. Again, awesome cliffhanger. Vivi gets snatched, and then Luffy throws her back, grabs a hold of the hook, and it's like, oh, you go on without me. I can handle this guy.
I want this.
Yeah. He's like, this is what it's exactly what we were looking for. And that is the end of the volume.
All right, so I will wrap this volume up then, huh? Unless we got the Dylan double take. You want to comment on the map, Dylan? Okay.
Not this time.
But anyways...
Actually,
was it the Dylan double take? Is that what we called it, or the Dylan double dip?
Dylan double dip, I think is what we called it.
Yeah. Well,
right.
Even if it's not, from now on, we're calling it the Dylan double dip because that's excellent.
All right. So I'm going to kind of counter point both of you. I'm okay with the Mr. 3 setup. One, I do not think he was truly put away in Little Garden. And then two, I think that the resolution leaves some deniability there with him creating a casing of wax. I think that makes sense given his powers to survive.
It does.
I know it's not the intense, dying thing, and I know that at this point we are rolling our eyes, but I think at least this one gives a little bit of something. And I thought it was kind of funny, the way they brought him back and the way that Sanji and I guess the Straw Hats to an extent absolutely abused him for his power. I thought it was an interesting and fun way to pop them out. I liked it. I did. Yeah, them saving Smoker was very... Is cutesy a bad word to use here? I thought it was so nice.
No, it's not a bad word. I don't necessarily think that's a word I would use, but it's endearing for sure.
Like, Luffy has this belief in humanity to an extent that he does not want to see anyone who... I mean, Smoker spent a lot of time in the cage with them, we presume.
Yeah.
And even if they didn't build a relationship, I mean, Luffy kind of doesn't hate him at the very least. He does not feel threatened by him, that is to be sure. But Zoro, I thought Zoro's reaction to the whole thing was special. I'd have let you drown. And it shows a very interesting foil to Luffy. As Luffy's first mate or what have you. They've spent a lot of time together. They've seen a decent bit of shit. And yeah, I think Zoro has absolutely no reason not to take Luffy at face value at this point. He has no reason to say...
he's given him no reason to not trust him so far, right?
Yeah. Really liked Usopp being pulled by his face. Not this time, but the second time in like 3 or 4 volumes. Remember, not only that, but Vivi was the one pulling him by his face. It's like she doesn't know he has, like, shoulders. Or
yeah, you're supposed to, like, grip underneath the arms and the armpits. It's a safe way to drag somebody.
No, you grab him by the nose.
I'm just going to grab you by the side of the face and drag you.
It's like, well, the thing is, the great thing about the testicles, you can fit one between each of your fingers and just drag that way.
Did you say testicles?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
I'd be interested to see that, I think.
I would not.
That's torturous.
I mean, I don't want to see it happen to me, but I think it would be fun. But yes, Usopp and dragging by the face and all that, I love it. I'm here for it.
Dragging these nuts.
Show me more Usopp's face being stretched to inhuman lengths.
He doesn't even have a gum fruit.
And then, yeah, I really liked Smoker's reaction. He lets them go. he clearly has a certain amount of humanity in him, despite being known as the Mad Dog. He sees that, at least in this moment, the Straw Hats have a similar goal. And yeah, he's calling in the Navy, which Dylan pointed out. I thought that was really interesting.
I feel like to some extent, Smoker has been, so far, the one military figure that has displayed the most integrity so far. Or at least the most, like, I don't want to say kindness, but, like, understanding of the Straw Hats. Right, he's
There's
still
no
a cop,
doubt about
but
him.
Right, but I feel like he's not like the others in certain ways, and I feel like that's something to kind of recognize just in the way that he addresses them and in his patterns and in his thoughts. Like he and we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. He seems to go a little bit against the grain.
He has his own sense of justice.
Yeah.
Not to say that he would not turn on them if the moment came, but now is not the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, love the animals showing up. I mean, Alabasta has been a case study on cute and interesting animals. I mean, I
love the fauna.
I mean, what an ending. I loved Luffy throwing himself into the bullet. He took the thing, not just because he believed Vivi should not, or wanted to save her, but I really liked the twist that, I don't know if twist is the right word, but I like the idea that, no, he wants this. He's about this. He's ready for this.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought that was amazing. Amazing ending, and an excellent ending to an excellent volume. Great escape execution. I think they did the escape from the cage well. Again, it's set up as very James Bond villain-esque, to use that kind of phrase again. But I think the ending and the way they got out was interesting. I thought Crocodile was handled in a very interesting way, as someone who is not perfect and who got fooled.
It was definitely a little bit of like a fall from grace for him.
Yeah, because I think villains are expected at least until the end to kind of have their P's or their I's dotted and their T's crossed.
Right. And this was absolutely a moment where we saw a flaw and it was exploited. Mm-hmm. And he realized as the villain that it was being exploited. And I feel like that there's something to be said about that in storytelling. I don't know that it's all that common, but I liked it.
I agree. They usually stand tall until they don't.
Yeah.
I really like Luffy saving Smoker. The Navy clearly has a part to play here, so that wrinkle kind of interests me. And then, what can I say about the ending? I think it was a very epic way to draw things to a conclusion. So, with that, I'll go ahead and open our discussion. For our final thoughts, I will lead the way here. So, I think maybe this was one of the best volumes we've read yet. Certainly it's not without its flaws, but I don't know one that was. This was so much fun, beginning to end. It leaves you with wanting more. You know, for a volume that is not a finality, one that gives you that ultimate release.
Yeah,
I think that's
it's not the end of the arc. It's building up towards the end of the arc, but it's not actually the end.
And I think that's interesting that a build-up can kind of put you in that headspace of greatness, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know it's going to deliver more. The action was peak. The intrigue was very well done. And I don't really have any critiques. I mean, I could probably nitpick, but I'm not going to. This was excellent, and the ending was so good. I'm very much ready for the next volume. And then, Dylan, go ahead and final thoughts.
Yeah, look, again, very good volume. The pacing was really well. Pacing went really well. It did a very good job of laying out high stakes. The whole being caught in the freaking anti-devil fruit cage, the chamber getting flooded, kept the tension really, really high pretty much throughout. And my thing, like, what I'm most interested, my takeaway and I'm most interested in is Smoker calling in the Navy. I'm interested to see how the world government deals with one of these warlords of the sea that step out of line, which Crocodile is. It's like, oh, Crocodile is now being villainous.
They're having to deal with one of their own, kind of.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's going to incorporate like someone like Garp showing up. Because Garp has been, through the title page stuff, has been shown to be extremely important. So I'm interested to see that. I want to see like what happens when just like a lieutenant or just a captain comes in and then an admiral shows up. Like I think we're really starting to get to the point.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Because I was thinking about, when I was thinking about crocodiles fall from grace, I was thinking about it from the Baroque Works leader angle. But it's true that there's also the Warlord of the Sea angle. Like,
yeah.
And because we haven't seen a whole lot of that coming from him. Like, we know that is, you know, a title that he holds and a position that he holds. But yeah, that's a really good point, Dylan.
Yeah, because I'm like, we haven't really seen much power dynamic of how the Navy's laid out, and I think this is opening the door to like, okay, you see how the power dynamic works at Baroque Works, you see how the Straw Hats work, you see how kind of like just base pirates work with the bounty system and all that.
Yeah.
And now it's like, all right, now you're going to see the differences in power between different ranks in the Navy, which I'm very interested in seeing. But that's all I got. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Me?
Yeah.
This was a fantastic volume, and kind of to what Michael was saying.
That's me.
Yes, that's you. We got a lot from a non-finale volume, and I'm trying to think back. So Tears was the Ben Meyer volume, which to me also brought a lot, and I think it's the only other example of a non-finale volume that brought about, but it was in a different way because Tears was very much focused on the
it's
a
almost
flashback.
entirely flashback, yeah.
Right. Whereas this is, you know, mostly there's like snippets of flashbacks, but it's mostly, you know, quote unquote present time. It was great. It was a really, really good volume. A lot of characters shone very bright and earned the praise that they deserve. Sanji being the biggest example of that. But everyone has had a hand in the success of the Straw Hats, I feel, in this volume. The volume drove the action forward and laid out all the pieces in front of us to walk on and get the climax of the story soon. Like I'm thinking the end of Baroque Works is going to be in the next volume or two, probably. I don't know. I'm expecting. We had some really, really like quality, pristine moments. I guess what I'm most looking forward to is the confrontation or Vivi and Koza meeting up again. I cannot wait to see how that unfolds. Because I feel like there's so much baggage there. And like for me, as someone who craves that drama, I feel like that's gonna be so dramatic, and I can't wait. It makes me all like squirmy and like I don't know. I don't have the words for it right now, but I'm very excited to see how all of that ends, and how, because right now we're still in the buildup of the we know that everyone is headed to the same place, but they haven't reached that same place all at the same time. And I'm looking forward to seeing when that clash finally happens. What are going to be people's reactions? Also, like Cobra's reaction to seeing his daughter, and like just everything. This was it's like when you're building a house. This was such a good foundation for something huge. And I'm super excited to see what comes of it. But yeah, as far as non-finale transitional chapters, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. That was a prime example of how you make storytelling and story progression really interesting and captivating and engaging. And yeah, they freaking nailed it. The build-up, wonderful. Sanji coming out strong, being a badass. Chef's kiss. Literally, chef's kiss. But yeah, all that's to say, it was a fantastic volume. And like, the boys will tell you, like, as I was reading it in our chat, I was like, oh my gosh, guys, this one's excellent. I think we all had a little bit of a moment like that in our conversations leading up to the recording of the episode. But yeah, it's happening. We're getting there. That's all I have.
All right. Well, with that, I'll go ahead and bring our discussion of 19 to a close. I'll lift the embargo on 20. And I do want to turn your attention to 20. I want to turn your attention to my screen share real quick. This is the cover of the next volume. I think this is a pretty interesting one. The title is like On to Alabarna. In fact, let me just double check. Showdown at Alabarna.
Okay, so we got Luffy, Koza, Cobra, Crocodile, and Smoker. And in the middle, there's Karoo.
I don't know that this tells you a lot that you weren't already kind of seeing, but
no,
I think
it all makes
well
sense.
Well, this is a visual representation of all the factions converging on the capital.
Right. Yeah, I think it kind of nails that. Do you guys have anything you want to point out here?
Karoo's freaky teeth. Other than that, I guess it just makes me even more excited to seeing all of those, like Dylan said, all of those factions collide.
Oh, yeah. Dylan, anything on your part?
No, that's about it.
Okay. So, with that, I'll bring this episode to a close. I want to thank you guys for joining me for another amazing discussion. And I want to thank our listeners for listening, of course. Make sure to check us out on social medias, Twitter, Instagram, and Discord. So, with that, I will say, bon voyage.
Bon voyage.
Ciao, Bella.